fantasy and ever-changing views and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? The Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? The Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? The Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? The Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello and welcome. I've gone all David Frost for this one. Hello, good evening, and welcome to episode 59 of Zapped to the Past. My name is Adrian Mills, as ever, and I am joined as ever by Graham Raddings. If you have not listened before, then this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. We are using the magazine Zapped 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, but we are in no way affiliated with Zapped 64 itself. This week, we're going to be starting our look at August 1987 and the first batch of games reviewed in issue 28 of Zapped 64, along with what was also going on in UK music that month. So Graham, what we got going on this week?
In this off-the-beaten pet food store with breeder-sized packs of unbranded chicken-related high-protein dog biscuits, massive tripe and duck-flavoured dog meat tubes, and tray of horrific-looking baked pig's ears of an episode, we head to the well-maintained gardens and paths of Linfan Island on a quest for revenge, ancient scrolls, and swimming armbands in the show-stopping Last Ninja. Explore the blocky, nearly brand, druid-alike jerking scrolling crapcake world of Whiz, and get lost in the vastness of space herding pointless escape pods to apparent safety in the silent, side-scrolling shooty world of Force 1. We also deep dive the game design brain of a 14-year-old competition winner to see how professional game developers can take a dump on their ideas with Cat Trap, jump around some unexciting platforms and explore the banal flip screen difficulty spikes and frustrating nuances of the video Meanies, and stretch our tightest cloth-chewing lycra shorts over our bottoms, pump up our 8-bit tyres, and go for an exhausting blocky bike ride in the utterly crappy Milk Race. If that car bootload of canine fancies isn't quite enough to feed your hungry hounds, and you figure a few extra tubes of horse-flavoured dog chews might do the trick, we once again investigate the possibilities of a sluggish brown user interface, only this time with an additional bolt-on jetpack-enabled wasp simulation in the confusing Falcon. Flit, bounce and ping around the outside of a spaceship wondering what direction we might shoot in the controlling calamity of Shadow Skimmer, before finally welcoming back our springiest non-kangaroo game protagonist and visiting screen after screen of scrambled game elements in the lively but random Thing Bounces Back. I once accidentally beheaded my mate's full-size Jean-Claude Van Damme cardboard cutout that he had in his bedroom with his own ninja sword. That statement might prompt many questions. They will remain unanswered.
That sounds like one good and maybe
one great thing.
One, yeah. There's a disturbance in the force, and I can feel it coming massively.
Yes.
Anyway, I suppose what we need to do is talk about a couple of things first. So the first one is the cover. You're not a fan of this cover, are you?
No.
Why not?
It's a cut and paste fiasco. That's why. I like the background. If you look at it as layers. The background layer, which is the sort of people in the background, the well-drawn bit.
The knight. Yeah, the knight and the girl, yeah.
Yeah, then it sort of goes to the ninja cutting through the paper. Crap. Really crap ninja. It's really badly drawn. And then is that in the corner? Is that head over heels? What is that in the corner? I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, it's head over heels, yeah.
Yeah. Why is it there? Who cares why it's there? It doesn't matter why it's there.
I presume because it's the goal. Oh, okay, sorry.
We don't know why it's there. We do know why it's there, really.
We do
but it just felt like a big game like There Are deserved a little bit more hurrah. And what it didn't get was bizarre.
No, what it did get is bizarre. I mean, I get what they're going for. Obviously, the ninja is slicing through in an injury way.
Yeah, but badly. He's not. That ninja was not drawn by Ollie Frey.
I'm hoping not. It's a bad one, isn't it? I mean, I think the head and heels are. Cringer.
It is It ain't no ninja.
No. And also as well, the lighting's all over the place. Why is he lit in yellow?
Yeah, why has he got red scarf? Why is that so well illuminated? Why would that illuminate it at all in that way?
Oh, I don't know. It's not a great cover. Like you said, the background's nice. The knight riding off with the girl, who, by the way, just as an aside, was was Karen Gordon from Worcester. This is from the actual magazine itself. Who won?
Well, she was stolen by a knight and just whisked off.
She won the Zap My Face for the Cover competition.
Ah, okay, so that's good.
Yeah, and so it says here the lucky young lady was whisked to Ludlow on an all-expenses-paid trip, which probably meant a sandwich and a bottle of Coke. Had a modelling session with our cameraman, lunch with the lads, and went home tired and happy, clutching a bag full of goodies. There you go. So that's Karen Gordon. Wonder what she's doing now. There you go.
I mean, the thing is with that is that's great, and that is split by the yellow sheathed ninja.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy if I was there because she's barely visible.
No, and I don't like the idea that these ninjas hang around in really white rooms because the room he's cutting in from is really white. It's like a bright white room. It's like, why would he wear that suit then if he was that? He would wear a white suit if he's in a white room.
Well,
it's a ninja.
I mean, that's something we might discuss in the game as well. You know, ninjas in daylight. We've discussed this before.
We have debated that. And then he's got little weird over-muscular blob with the dog nose with boxing gloves on ready to punch him right up the backside. It's horrible. It's those two things. I know that's head over heels cuteness. They're horrible. They're really horrible. They're like muscular, freakish things. They're horrible.
Yeah, they are. They're like that thing out of the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough toes on those feet. Are they hands? Are they feet? Well, it's horrible. It's horrid.
It's unpleasant.
It's horrible, and it's it's a total adjunct to the ninja drawing compared to everything else. It's weird. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, weird. I imagine that they had three big games and they had no idea how to fit them all together. And this was
but having a ninja being essentially menaced by a midget dog is no way to go through life.
It's not no way to go through life. So there you go. That's the cover. Also of note, this was Gary Penn's last issue.
It was. Yes.
He's baggering off, so he's not seen much in this episode.
What did he go and do after this?
He went. Well, as noted here, he went off to do the Games Machine.
What's that?
It was another magazine from Newsfield.
Oh, was it a specific?
It was a multi-format.
Oh, so
it was
like Ace or
Edge. It was kind of a precursor to something like Edge and things like that. So it was kind of a more. I think it was multi-format and also multimedia as well. I remember getting the first couple because obviously I like Zap and I thought I'd give it a go. So I remember getting the first couple, but I was never particularly enamored with it because it was talking about stuff that I didn't really have much interest in. So, but. It was a sort of a diversion to sort of do a CMVG, I guess, or
yeah. Well, I think they covered cusp, aren't we?
Yeah, there's other magazines have come out. Other consoles and computers.
Yeah, the consoles are just sort of lit, hadn't they?
Consoles had arrived. Your Amiga or your ST was out.
Yeah,
so that's what we went up to do.
Things were changing.
There was change at Zap Towers. Anyway, there you go. So never let it be said that we don't diss the cover.
Because we hate it.
We don't like it. We don't like it. It makes us feel
cut
odd.
And paste fiasco is right.
You can stick that on the back if you really want to. Anyway, there you go. That's let's kick off then. That's the cover. That's news. Let's get into episode 59 with the first lot of games. And we've got a big one to start with. Because, Graham, you are going to talk about and tell us all about what it's like to be the last ninja.
The last ninja, as Redfus would say.
Indeed.
This game is a C64 whopper, isn't it? And it's a bit of one of the greats. So, as much as Whizball was one of the greats, The Last Ninja is also one of the greats. This is from System 3, a company that still exists to this day. The producer was Mark Cale. We'll no doubt talk about Mark Hale more as we go through all of the various System 3 various games that come across us, but he was the producer, stroke game designer, stroke whatever role he decided he wanted. And the code was, of course, John Twiddy. Famously was John Twiddy. Now, John Twiddy was the Tausetti guy.
He was. He was indeed.
And also, he was the creative genius behind the Cyberload loading system, which was System 3's loading system for quite a number of games.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he was the expert cartridge firmware author. So,
that's weird.
He must have had a duality. At some point, he must have sat there going, I must protect these people from copying games, but I created a tool that makes them able to copy them. He's
the perfect person then to write the tool to disable them, isn't he? If he knew all about the ins and outs of the actual, protection itself.
And the graphics were by Hugh Riley, and that's quite important because the graphics in this game are very good. Music, of course. And the sadness here is that both of these musicians are now deceased. Ben Dalglish and, of course, Anthony Lees. Anthony Lees died in a car crash, tragically, and Ben Dalglish obviously died of cancer. So both of those guys have died, but the music for this game lives on, and we'll come to all the legacy stuff and everything else. So it's a game with an extraordinary legacy, and we're going to look at the game, but let's look at the story. So every 10 years, the feared Ninja Brotherhood makes the pilgrimage to the island of Lin Fen to pay homage to the Shrine of the White Ninja. Have you ever been there? I've been to Lin Fen loads of times. And I tell you what, I have paid my homage to that ninja. The Shogun.
All right, and do nice ice creams.
Very nice ice creams. Ninja flavored ice creams, obviously. So the Shogun and the sworn enemy of the ninja.
The ice cream's so good you can't see them. That's ninja flavored.
Ninja ice creams. The Shogun and the sworn enemy of the ninja, the evil Kuni Toki, realize that with all the ninja in one place, and this is a bad strategic move from the ninja, it might be the perfect time to kill them all and destroy the ninja forever. Bum, bum, bum. So Kunitoki summons all the dark forces and creatures he can muster and wipes out all life on Lin Fen. And then, believing that the job is complete, heads to Lin Fen himself with his army of samurai and guards to acquire the legendary Koga Scrolls and become the new Dark Lord and bring about a new era of evil to the whole world. We didn't know the ninjas had this much power, this much influence. They are the early influencers. It's a good job they don't drink Coca-Cola. Unbeknownst to Kunitoki, a single ninja, Amakuni, these stupid names, never went to Lin Fen. In fact, he was just left behind guarding the Bunkinkan Shrine. It's always a good idea to leave at least one ninja to guard the Bunkinkan Shrine, because you never know when that's going to be, attacked. I don't know why you guide that one anyway. As the sole surviving ninja, and upon hearing of the murder of his brotherhood, because everyone's been murdered, Amakuni sets off for Lin Fen to rescue the Koga Scrolls from the clutches of the evil samurai and avenge himself on Kunitoki and his guards and co. So, the island of Lin Fen is handily split into 6 areas, which must be conquered in the precise order which they are encountered. They are the wilderness, the wastelands, palace gardens and dungeons, the lower levels of the palace, and then the palace's inner sanctum. Each section is a separate load with amazing music. We'll come to the music in time. And is constructed from a series of paths, guards, puzzles, and items to pick up and navigate. A puzzle must be solved in at least each area to progress, with items like deadly dragons, deadly swamps, and such. As you navigate, you'll encounter enemies which you can fight either hand-to-hand using your ninja fighting skills, which is punch and kick to you and me, or you can use some of the weapons you pick up along the way, such as the sword, the nunchuckers. Now, I thought it was nunchuckers with an N-U-N, but it's nunchuckers, apparently. Smoke bombs, shuriken stars, and bamboo staff. There are also other objects, gloves, claws, food, and bits and bobs that you can pick up and collect, and so you can be used to tackle some of the puzzles. And even the ninja magic, which you encounter, can give you power such as invisibility or invulnerability when required to do so. And just a note to self, you will need that in the later levels or you won't make it.
We need it in the early levels.
True. You control Amakuni with the joystick, and it takes a little while to get to grips with the way you control as you move the ninja in every direction, so turning your character can feel weird initially, I think. You can jump leap with the fire button, and of course you can also provide contextual controls depending on the weapon you are using, which you can select with the spacebar. Loading the game gives you the now famous ninja eyes image, and then first of all, you are presented with some brilliant pieces of music using the Cyberload on tape. Now, my memories of this are the Cyberload on tape, and because of the loading music and the various music that you get the Cyberload, so you get that kind of, the famous ninja, and everyone's seen the last ninja eyes and the famous music and everything else. When the game finally appears, you're presented with a nice display. The top, I guess you'd call it the top left mainstay of the screen. I think it's probably 3/4 really of the screen, I think, is your game window with the graphics and everything else that's displayed. On the right-hand side at the top, you've got your enemy energy bars when you encounter them. And underneath that, you've got the weapon that you're using and the thing that you're holding. And then at the bottom level, you've got your left to left, you've got your power. In the middle, you've got the weapons you've collected. And in the right, there's a nice, handy Last Ninja logo with your sort of ninja you giving a kind of a kick. Just a little logo, just fills up that space. It serves no purpose, really, just serves the space. No. The disc version featured a classic disc protection system from System 3 that actually damaged 1541 disc drives. I don't know if you know that.
I don't. So, never had a disc drive.
So famously, the people who had 1541 disc drives who had this game suffered from head damage. Make of that what you will.
You never want that.
The graphics in the game are really colourful. They're brilliantly drawn, I think, and well realised with each flip screen, because it's on a sort of a flip screen adventure, taking a moment to draw as you enter it along the prescribed path. There's a giant path, handily enough. This has been clearly someone's been in and tarmac the whole path, so you've got a nice tarmac path to follow.
The hidden heroes of this game are the gardeners.
They are because
those lawns are shaped.
Well, that is what happens in feudal Japan. I don't know if you know that, but it's famous for its violent ninja
and shaped lawns
and very shaped lawns. So the graphics are actually really good in this, and each flip screen you go into, the graphics redraw. It takes a moment to do that, but the detail is high, and there's clever use of medium and high res to facilitate the in-game look. The music in the game, as with all the music in this game, is kind of become the stuff of legend. It's genuinely stunning. There's some really nice, precise, sort of thematically precise music from both Anthony Lees, who at the point when he created the music for this was, I think, 16/17 and competition winner, and Ben Daglish. So you control the main sprite. The main sprite's quite large in this. It's nicely animated. I think it's probably safe to say that the sprites are high res, the people that you play, whereas the background image is probably less so. But the gameplay here is methodical and sometimes a little unforgiving. So sometimes, the idea of the game is to sort of navigate and explore your way around these landscapes, pick things up, drop things off. The picking things up thing is a bit difficult because you enter a screen and something flashes momentarily, and that's the thing you've got to pick up more often than not. But it's not so easy to pick them up because sometimes they need pixel perfect accuracy to pick them up with your sort of. The way he picks things up is weird. I'm no ninja, but if I want to pick something up, I just reach over and pick it up. Yeah. I don't kind of do a squat punch to pick things up. This ninja does that, so there's a little bit of sort of.
I reckon his ninja suit's a bit tight. That's what I was thinking. Be tight around the old ninja spuds.
So that exactly ninja spuds. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it does. So you've got this really great music going on. You've got these nice graphics going on. The gameplay here is methodical, but like I said, it is a bit unforgiving. And because there's really weird elements to this game. So as you explore the game, there's certain parts of it, like jumping over ponds and swamps, which are oddly punitive and kind of break the notion of the whole thing that you were trying to do in the first place. My question is, would a ninja just fall in a swamp and drown? Are they not going to... There's parts of the game where you've got to, and this first level, for example, where you've got to jump across stepping stones. If you don't make it precisely on the right stepping stone, you're going to just fall into the swamp and drown, or fall into the river and drown. I don't believe ninjas are that inept at basic swimming and basic. I don't. And those things are silly because in every other essence, they've adhered to kind of some idea of ninja logic. So swords, weapons, fighting. Running.
I love the idea of ninja logic.
Well, but no, the idea that these are experts at movement and fighting.
Yeah.
Apart from if they encounter a slight puddle and then it all falls apart. They can't navigate a simple pond.
And those ponds must be incredibly deep.
Exactly. This is what I mean. So this sold 4 million units. This is no small game at the time. This is even any game standard of sales, this is stupidly massive. This is massive, this game. The legacy of this game still lives on. It resonated way beyond the C64 in a way that I don't think many other games did. And now, I think it set the stall for isometric exploration games on the C64 because it is one, and we've commented many times on how slow and dull these things are on the C64. This was in full colour and kind of worked. Mm-hmm. It spawned several sequels, at least... Obviously, Last Ninja 2 and 3 on the C64, but many sequels across different platforms, all of which were quite good. In fact, there's a lot of argument that people say that Last Ninja 2 is better than Last Ninja. And it laid the foundations for System 3, who are still creating games to this day. Bear in mind, in the same year, System 3 released IK+. So this is an incredible year for System 3. There's loads of really amazing things about Last Ninja that all came together. I think there's something about this game that really caught the imagination of everyone at the time, and it continues in a weird way to do so. And I think what we have to sort of do is separate the C64 game a little bit from its revelry and its crazy. I don't even know how you describe it. This crazy revelry of this game. I do believe this game should have been a gold medal in Zapped. It wasn't a gold medal. It got 94%, which I think is a bit harsh because of the way it looks and the way it plays. I think sometimes some things just come together in the right way at the right time in the C64. We mentioned this about Whizball. The C64 needed a good ninja game. And Way of the Tiger and Avenger were a letdown, so there wasn't a good ninja game, a good ninja-style ninja game. They needed a good fighting exploration adventure. Fist 2 had been a letdown, so it needed that as well. And it needed a better visualized isometric game, because the isometric game so far had been pretty lame. The isometric view on this, by the way, is weird, because it's not quite the isometric view that you'd expect. It's kind of slightly the wrong angle. So the C64 was kind of reaching out and looking for those things. Needed a better visualization for all of those things. It needed to ensure the music was thematic. It needed to make sure that everything came together. And weirdly, it did, because The Last Ninja represents that kind of game. Now, as you progress through the levels, the graphics ante is kind of upped a little bit, but it is quite similar in how it plays. Now, this is upon replaying this game. So this isn't about me, because I have so many good memories of playing Last Ninja when it came out and buying it as on tape and loading it up with my friends. I've even mentioned this when we talked about it in a couple of things we talked about. And I've got a good reverie about that. This is on the revisit. So the revisit to Last Ninja, I found the controls a little bit awkward, but I could manage them, but they were awkward. It was punishing in the wrong way. I felt like I was being punished for being a ninja that was a stupid idiot around certain things. So fighting and kicking and scratching and doing all the ninja stuff was great, but I couldn't it took a while to get across the swamp and the jumping stones and certain parts of the level. There's parts of this game that are so obtuse they're not immediately obvious, even if they flash, and it's not clear how you pick certain things up. The progression in this game, it's actually a little bit of chance mixed with trial and error, which isn't the way you really think a game like this would be. Obviously, it's a game of its time, and the music itself is amazing. I think the prevailing factor of Last Ninja is all of the things around The Last Ninja, but not the gameplay, not the game mechanics, because the game is actually pretty simple and pretty dull. So it's a great game, heralded as a great game, amazing graphics. Take the legacy to one side, let's put that to one side, and the thing that Last Ninja became is much bigger than the game itself. As for the game, well, there are issues with it, aren't there? Graphically and everything else nice, but the gameplay over time is so punishing, and there's such silly deaths. It makes you wonder how inept The Last Ninja really was. Is he the right person for the job? I don't know. I might have got the other Last Ninja. Second to Last Ninja might have been a bit better than The Last Ninja. I don't know.
Penultimate Ninja doesn't sound quite as good.
No, but he might have stood a better chance of success if he could navigate a swamp better. But it is an amazing thing, isn't it, on the C64 Last Ninja? It's beautiful. But what do you think?
Okay, yeah. What to add? What to add to that? It is a seminal game on the machine. The story of Armakuni and his quest for revenge against the evil shogun Kunitoki, and it's another of the machine's standout titles, no matter which way you come at it from, for whatever reason. The visuals are a real step up for the machine, offering, 150 screens. 150, that's loads. At this level of quality, of detailed backdrops, in an isometric style that works. Finally, that works. And it's not sort of 45 degrees, so as you said, it's slightly off, so it actually works nicer. There's thought here, and it works well. They're drawn quickly as well, which is also good. They have a real sense of depth and detail that so many single colour Spectrum alikes lack. These visuals are lovely. You can feel the sun-kissed gardens and the babbling pools. It just looks ace. The enemies are well animated. Just, in fact, everything's well animated all the way through. There's nothing bad about this in the animation stakes. The sound's great, as you've noted, with the dual work of Ben Daglish and Anthony Lees, providing a suite of music that befits the visuals, with great tune after great tune, and a commonality which is between them that you rarely get with two composers working individually. This could have been a mishmash of two very, very distinct and different styles that could, easily not have worked. But here, whether they were, I don't know what the working relationship between them was, whether there actually was one or whether they just went off and composed 6 tunes apiece and then sent them all in. Don't know. Whatever happened, it's a really good marriage of two musicians. As you've noted, though, the controls do take some getting used to, but they do work. And you can get through it, just aside from any puzzle, as you've noted, and that everybody knows, leaping over, jumping over, leaping over swamps or rivers. They're a pain in the ass. And those bits are so frustrating. And that pixel-perfect nature of certain elements, it almost lets the game down at times. But once you get past them or you learn where to jump, how to jump, you can usually get through them with little issue. The main issue with it is that you've got 3 lives, unless you find an apple, which gives you an extra life. You can only carry one of them at a time. And it's easy to just lose all 3 of them very quickly at the swamp or at the ponds. Very easy, because one wrong jump and you're in. There's no right. It's binary. You're either on or you're not. You can't, which is frustrating, and you can be doing quite well, getting through the level, and then you're dead. It's quite good though in that once you do get past the level, you're not sent all the way back to the beginning. Obviously, that's because of the multi-load, but you do start at the beginning of that level. So
that's
if you die on level 2 with the gardens or whatever it is, then you will actually start again at the beginning of level 2.
It's almost a continue, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think it's also it's to do with the multi-load because obviously they've realised, well, if we send them all the way back to the beginning, we've got to load that bloody level in again. For tape owners, that would have just been a nightmare and really would have harmed it. So I think there's issues, there's probably reasons behind it, but whatever the reason is, it's a good resolution to that problem. So this was a real wow moment back then. And whilst it has lost a little of its sparkle over time, as you can actually see, as you rightly point out, there isn't that much to do in it. It's just run from screen to screen and beat people up, pick up the odd object, and be pixel perfect when you've got to throw things at a dragon. That
sounds like an average night out in Gulliver's in Grimsby, by the way.
It's does sound like an average night out. The pixel perfectness of that dragon, by the way, is so annoying because the first time I did it, I wasn't pixel perfect and couldn't get the pixel, so I lost all my smoke bombs. I got to go back over the sodding swamp. And of course I died. So I had to restart again because whatever. The difficulty comes from those bloody pixel perfect bits. I'd say that this is still worth a revisit because what it has we've spoken about with others. It has atmosphere, and it has atmosphere in spades. One of those things that was hard to create on 8-bit machines. We've mentioned it with other games, whether Forbidden Forest, Scarabaeus, that there's certain games that have an atmosphere, and this is another one. There's such a mood in this game, and it captures what it's aiming for. The visuals, and as you've rightly said, the wrapping around it, the visuals, the sun-kissed gardens, that music, it aims at a target and hits it square on, and it creates that that kind of game you kind of wanted to play when you're looking at Ninja, when you were looking at Way the Tiger, when you were looking at Avenger. You always thought it was cut back ninjas. This feels like playing a ninja, apart from one who can't swim. And I would be remiss if I didn't say it's more ninjas in daylight, but it works here, and I'm going to cut it some slack because he's still fighting stuff, so whatever. It is, in all ways, a proper classic. And so, 94, probably should have been a gold medal, really. But I think it's another one, probably a gold medal on looking back, maybe. It's hard to know at the time if they knew it was going to have such an impact. And I think when you are playing it, because I think Gary Penn nails it when he says it's not, the gameplay isn't anything special, but it's been executed extremely well. So there's that drawdown when it's just you and I both noted, and I think even at the time you kind of realise that it's just running from screen to screen, jabbing away at your sword. There are other things in the things that I do like. I like, the masking in it is brilliant in the visuals about running through the pagoda gates and stuff, the way it look, going to the Buddha to sort of let you know what to find next. That's all nice. The fact that you can jab away at an enemy, run off screen and come back in, and he'll be still stay at that same health level as well,
which is handy.
Which is very handy, yes, because you can just jab away, get a couple of hits in, and leg it, and come back and rinse, repeat until you do it, so you don't get hit yourself because your health is of a premium. So those kind of things are nice affordances, and like I said, not having to go all the way back to the beginning if you die in a later level, they're all good. There's some cheap bits though, like there's not just the rivers as well. There's the climbing down the rock face in the second level, where there's that if you just start climbing down and you're not gone over to the left far enough, and it's like, oh no, there's a bit missing, fall to my death. Like, ninja, you can handle a bit of rock missing, a bit of brick missing, so that's quite, there are little bits like that which feel a bit cheap and stuff like that. And like I said, the aforementioned throwing the orbs at the dragon, but hey, it is what it is. It's a classic on the C64, and so I enjoyed my time going back to it, despite the harshness of some of the aspects within it. I think it's still brilliant, and I was smiling while playing it, apart from shouting at the river bits. But it's still great, and it's amazing. The music's ace.
Yes,
the music's so good.
I mean, as soon as it starts with that gong, and I've seen the Fast Loaders and Ben Daglish play that live.
I bet it's ace. I bet it was ace.
Well, you can Google that, YouTube it. It's an amazing thing to watch the Fast Loaders and Ben Daglish do that.
Just a quick question. Something I was mentioning there was, do you know how they did the not as in technically, but the working partnership they had for the music? Whether they worked individually and just happened to make 6 tunes that complemented each other perfectly, or did they back and forth with each other. I don't know if you know on that.
No, I think from what I've read, and when I read into this, certain tunes were distributed to one particular musician and others were distributed to Ben Daglish. I'm not sure on what basis, but I think the main split is loading music to in-game music, I think.
Yeah, because it's split. I think Anthony Lees does all the loading, doesn't he? And Ben Daglish does all the in-game stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not sure what legacy or what help there was or what communication there was between the two, sadly. And the great sadness, of course, is that we can no longer ask them. And I genuinely don't know. But I do know that when I briefly spoke to Ben at the Fast Loaders gig, he said that, obviously he wrote the parts that he could play. You make of that was as much information as I got to him at the time.
Right.
Before I had a massive fight with somebody at that gig.
That's because you shouted gravy at them or something, didn't you?
Yes, let's not go into that. But the long and short of it was that that particular gig, Ben played, he played a lot of that live, obviously played a lot of flute live. It was amazing, but I don't know what Anthony Lees' participation was, other than I think certain things, like you do the loading music for this, because it's Anthony Lees' music that leads you into Last Ninja, because it's his loading music. So.
I'm just curious, because they feel like a cohesive suite of music, and you don't get that very often with two musicians working on completely different things. Whether it's just like make them sound ninja-ish, so that Japanese
just make it sound Japanese kind of thing.
But I'm just curious, and I'll put this out there, sort of thing. So if anybody, and I'll probably put it on Twitter as well. So if anyone knows, if anyone has a bit more information, I'm curious to know what the working partnership was there, or whether they just got completely lucky. And they just managed to make these pieces just gelled out of, there's some divine providence going on.
I feel sure that somebody will know.
Yeah, hopefully someone can let us know.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
You go.
But great game all the same.
Indeed. There you go. The Last Ninja, not the penultimate ninja, not the second but last, but the last. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of Armakuni in later episodes, more of his adventures. But right for now, excellent stuff. Sure, the next one will be just as good.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Let's move on. All right, here we go. That's Last Ninja. So what we got coming up next? We've got a Melbourne House game.
Yay. Is that my cue to go, yay?
Yay. And that game is Whiz. So this is not a game based on the Michael Jackson version of Wizard of Oz, which would be weird, but might be better actually than this anyway. The
local name for a alternative to amphetamine.
It is, yeah, sorted for ease and Melbourne House. Once again, we are in the clutches of a Melbourne House title, and once again, we are left wondering what the hell they are thinking in this dire druid knockoff. So there you go, set expectations to stun. You are a lowly wizard on the magical isle, which is home to magicians and wizards. I mean, the clues in the title. So these prestidigitators draw their power from 4 special rune stones, which flood the world with magical power. The issue is that 2 of these runestones exist in the dark world and 2 in the light world. The nearness of these 2 worlds is allowing enemies from the dark world to enter into the light world. And the wizards, who could sort this out by separating the 2 worlds, are loath to do so because it would mean a reduction in their power. But this lust for greed and power is not something that should be tolerated. So enter you and your quest to become a level 5 wizard and sort this crap out once and for all, and separate the 2 planes of existence. Woo!
Level 5s, go!
Absolutely. Level 5 wizard.
Level 6, go! Level 5s only, get out.
Yeah, top level is level 5. So in order to do this, we are back in Gauntlet territory, or more accurately, Druid. So you play a bearded wizard, and the screen is split into 2 sections. On the left of the screen is your typical Gauntlet top-down viewpoint. Your wizard is central to this, and as you walk around, the camera follows you about, Gauntlet style, you know the cue, top-down. Enemies spawn in, and you must use your spells to shoot them. On the right of the screen is the UI, so that takes up quite a chunk of the right-hand side of the screen. Your score and health is depicted numerically at the top. Under this is your current mode of operation, of which you have 4. The first is just move and shoot. And this is represented by a compass, and as you move north, south, east, and west, the corresponding letter lights up to let you know which way you are going. Utterly pointless. I know which way I'm going, because I'm going that way. And this game doesn't rotate
it does
in any way. So what's the point of this? The second mode The second mode is spell crafting. So here, the compass points are replaced by 4 runes. You have 10 of each rune, which is marked across the 4 sides around the rune circle. So basically across the top, left, right, and bottom, there's these 4 different runes. The next mode is the spell book, where you can read your spells. In the spell book, it's underneath the information circle. So this circle is in the top. So at the top, you've got score, circle in the middle, and then at the bottom, there's the spell book. The fourth mode enables you to buy spells from various wizards you might find about the world. So each mode is accessed via pressing the space bar. Okay, so normal play, you'll be in move and shoot, move and zap mode, whatever. So if you press the space bar, you then move on to the not move and shoot, but then you move into that crafting mode. And what you've got to do is you've got to select. You've got to go to your spell book to read what spell you might want to use at that moment in time. So it might be one from up and one from to the right. Go back to your crafting room, so press space about 4 more times, get back to your spell thing, then press up, then press to the right, and that will create that one. And then you're using that one. So when you go back to move and what action is, you're now creating that spell. It's cumbersome, is my polite way of saying this system. It's cumbersome to explain. It's cumbersome in the extreme to actually do. It's really unintuitive and gets in the way. And it's just one of the reasons why this game is really not worth your time. There's no title screen as such, just a demo of the game running. So demos of the game running are supposed to entice you in. But here, you are instantly greeted with the blocky, ill-defined sprites that await you in the game. And they are bad. Then there's the music. Now, this is a Hubbard piece. And it's been on form recently, but not here. No. This is not a good Hubbard piece. I mean, he'd given them Knuckle Busters and seen what the game was like for that. So he just went, I'm not giving you anything else good. So that was it. So it's not a good piece of music, not all. Pressing spacebar gets you into the game proper, where you can experience those mechanics I've already outlined, but you also get to experience the incredibly character-sized, jerky scrolling. It scrolls characters. It moves at character size. The scrolling is terrible, and the controls are really awfully unresponsive. Turning and shooting seems to take ages. The enemies, such as they are, meander around and hit you more by chance than anything else. The landscape is really also incredibly blocky, and it's really badly drawn. Just massive toadstools and crap trees at the wrong angle. And the inability to get through spaces it should be able to get through because of the dreadful collision detecting is the icing on this magical dump of a game. Just go and play Druid. If you want a gauntlet style fantasy, wizardy, casting spells and stuff like that, go play Druid, because it's 1,000 times better than this monstrosity. This was awful. I mean, the visuals are terrible. It's like there'd be big gaps between them, but because of the nature of the way you move, because it goes on a character base, there's no subtlety to the movement, you can't get through the gaps. And so I just found myself trapped in places, not being able to move, and to a point where I just didn't know where I was supposed to go. I was like, I'm trapped. I can't. Where am I? I got to the dark side, and it was like, but then it was just more rubbish. It's just awful. This was a dreadful game. It got 33%, and I would have given this a baseball batting. This is terrible. I really did not like this. Maybe it's coming on the back of Last Ninja, but awful. And also as well, the loading screen is really weird. I put it in the agenda. I don't know if you can see it. It's incredibly disturbing. In which case, it's basically a little.
Yeah, I saw it. It was weird. It's like a child.
Yeah, you're like a child in a dressing gown with a wizard's hat on, and he's being menaced by this sort of this big green thing with this massive long green tentacle thing, which is dipping in a cauldron.
Yeah, it's not good.
And he looks like he's trying to fend him off with a dildo.
Okay, well, nobody wants that. No.
It's all kind of wrong. No one wants a dildo in a child's hand. That's bad.
No one does. No,
exactly. So why Melbourne House thought they should foist this image upon me, I'm not happy about it. But there you go. Wiz, terrible, awful game. How was your foray into the world of Wiz?
I'm not going to add a lot to what you've said because I agree with everything you've said. It's an incompetent gauntlet variant at best. It rips off Druid, which is a bad thing if you're going to do it badly, isn't it? Because Druid was good.
Yep.
And it takes all the elements of all of those games, Gauntlet, Druid, it just makes them really shittier.
Yep.
Graphics, worse. Scrolling, juddery. Controls, unresponsive. Collision, bitty. The Rob Hubbard music is interesting. There's no denying it. But even that sounds like it was fed up and bored and lumpen. It's a derisable effort for the game for full price, because this is $8.95.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is another Melbourne House game, is it not?
It is, yeah.
Is it Melbourne, or are these now reaching towards Mel aborted? I'm not sure. This is horrible.
Good pun. I like it. I approve. Mel Stillborn. That's terrible. I always say that one.
Okay. No, you can't come back from that now. It's just rubbish. It's $8.95's worth of rubbish. I didn't like it at the time, and I got this on I can't remember how I came across this. I got this on some disc, and I remember playing it and thinking, this is rubbish. And I was right, it is. So there's nothing I liked about this at all. It just felt like it was an incompetent, juddery variant of Druid. And Druid's way better than this, and the same price, or at least equivalent price, and way, way, way better. And Druid 2 is on the cards as well soon, so get lost, Wiz. And I hope that you fall into a giant puddle, you trip over something, and it really hurts your ankle. So I'm trying not to be really overly harsh.
I hope you get a paper cut.
I've been watching too much From. I've been watching the TV series.
Still lemon in it.
I've been watching the TV series From on your recommendation. I don't wish too much harm because in that TV show, harm comes in simple ways. If you fall over at night, that's the worst. I'm wishing on you. I'm wishing that on you. That's what's going to happen. It's unenjoyable, wasn't it?
Yeah, we are not sorted for ease and whiz. That's for certain.
No, we are not. It's just whiz
it's
off.
Unsorted. There you go. Whiz crap. There you go. Whiz. Let's move along. We've got another one coming up, as ever. Sure, I'm hoping it'd be better. Graham, did you force one? Or did it come naturally?
For £2.
For £2, did you? We've got force one.
I feel like I might have had to force one. So this is Force 1. The code here is by Gordon Hall. This was the first game he ever made, and it possibly the last. The graphics here are by Pete Tattersall, who later did the graphics for Overlander. So
is that a good thing?
He did the graphics for Overlander. They're all right.
I don't remember it.
In this game, it's the year AD 2430, well into the future, isn't it, that? And the second Solar War. So, why is it the Solar War? It doesn't matter. There's so much illogic in this. The next 5 to 10 minutes are full of so much illogical, stupid crap. We're just going to have to go with it. So in the second Solar War, which was obviously after 2430. Anyway, from deep inside the enemy-occupied fifth star system, a distress message is transmitted. Message as follows: SOS. Do they still use SOS in interstellar space travel? Because that's what Titanic used. They used that. Anyway, cargo bulk carrier Saturn Voyager, IDSY 4561. Enemy attack. Abandoning ship. The worst SOS message ever made.
It's not best. No, it's not good, is it?
Where are you? How can we help you? Never mind.
It's not ringing up customer services. Hello, this is customer services. Can you help me, please?
If you're going to put out an interstellar galactic help message, the basics of where you are.
How can I direct your call? How bad would you say your situation is? Are you nearly dead?
No. Important is where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where? And that's because space is big. Space is huge, isn't it?
It is big.
The plot of this game is somewhere in space. The spaceship has been somewhere in space is not a term you can use lightly. Somewhere space is massive. Space is huge. Space is a big thing. Space is really big.
The clue is the name.
So if you lose something in space, that's the technically equivalent of nowhere in anything. That's the same. Nowhere in anything. That's the same thing. Somewhere in space is nowhere. It's nowhere. It's nowhere. Anyway, a federation. Remember, you're a member of the Federation. A Federation cargo ship is under attack, obviously. The escapees of this cargo ship, of which, and I'm just applying logic to this, there must have been a large crew on this cargo ship because they're using all the escape pods to escape into space. That isn't escape. Okay. I'm just putting it out there that if you jump into an escape pod and dive out into the open space, into space, that's the equivalent of just consigning yourself to a slow death. A horrible slow. Anyway, so somewhere in space, and because when they jettisoned out of these escape pods, the aliens were killing them in their pods. They were just shooting them down out of the dastardly aliens were killing them in their pods. I would argue that's technically doing them a favor. Because if you've just jettisoned into deep space with a limited supply of oxygen, you are gradually going to starve to death, or at least asphyxiate.
Yeah, no one wants to be killed in the pod, though. Ooh.
No, just exactly, just maybe just be shot down from the aliens. It might be easier on everybody. Anyway, so you, the player, and the nearest space pilot with a space vehicle that has shooty things on it. Hence the Force One of the title. You are the Force One. Force One is your ship. So now you must go to give the laser-pointed finger to these intergalactic knobheads.
Is that what it says?
No, I wrote that bit.
Oh, right.
No, that isn't how they pitched it in the game. And allow the pods to drift aimlessly through space unhindered to leave those people in those escape pods to die. And just battle the aliens forever. This is a side-scrolling shoot with purple-coloured blocky spaceships and waves of enemies that appear in patterns or just randomly appear in mid-space. So death from collision is generally possible or almost guaranteed. As you progress, you save the pods because you've got to let them go across the screen and unhindered. And the more you do that, the more you level up. Not that helps. And that's the game. Repeat and do that. Repeat and do that. Repeat and do that. There's no more to it than that. That's it. It's a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Where you either shoot stuff or you don't. Graphics are okay, but they're not great. So there are two versions that we played for this. The version that came out originally had no music. So it's a dull, uninteresting side-scroller with nothing to offer, even on the cheap. The graphics, while dull, are, I suppose, passable, but it feels unfinished, unpolished, and empty. Crashing into enemy explosions should not cause death in a shooting game. It does in this.
It does, yes.
And we've come across this a couple of times. Stupid. The game's pretty crap, even at a budget price. But I suppose it's a budget price shooter at $1.99. So you kind of go, all right, okay, maybe I'll let some of the complexity of the logic escape. It's £2. All right. There also is a game that has been reissued for this with music in game. Now, the music that was in the game for this was Q-Dex by Matt Gray. So they ripped out.
Someone just cracked it, didn't they?
They grabbed the music from Q-Dex by Matt Gray and punched it into this game. It made the game actually a lot better, but it's still shit. It's still a shit, stupid, no logic space shooter with no logic that there's no logic for because there's no logic. But it did make it passably more interesting because it had music. This is just a crap $1.99 endless shooter. Now, the question is, and this is the debate I've had, is I liked Warhawk because of the same kind of thing. And I found myself not liking this one because of the same kind of things. And it really led me to a bit of a duality. What was it about Warhawk
that I liked? Was it the music?
Yeah, and I think the music made a difference for this because it didn't have that. Even though if this had been just changed the direction of the shoot 'em up, because it's essentially a shoot 'em up, a bad one, but it's a shoot 'em up. But Warhawk wasn't brilliant. Isn't it weird how it changes your literal perspective on things?
Yep.
I just found this relatively unplayable. I'd played Nemesis by this point, and I think that's where my comparison button had been hit. So, no, not for me, this one. Pretty lame. But it is £2, so there is that. But stupid logic is stupid logic. But what did you think of?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same. A very it's just a run-of-the-mill horizontal space shooter that just sees endless waves. I mean, it works. It does exactly what it sets out to do. There are waves of enemies that you shoot. I mean, there are no bugs, and it works. So they come after you from both in front and behind. It's mindless and repetitive, and I can't decide if the explosions killing you are a good thing or not. They're probably not. It's probably not. But there's little to be offended by here. It's because
if it gets you over this game quickly, good.
Yeah, but there's little to be offended by here. It's so mundane. So yeah, it's too quick, and we've had this sort of discussion before, and we've said this before about other games. It's £2 of blasting action, so you're not going to get the full Nemesis or Delta experience. But again, you're getting the budget Delta Nemesis experience. It's the £2. It's the Aldi Golf of hole in one. And what there was another one that says it's £2 worth of that. So it's that it's an Aldi brand shoot 'em up, but. As you've rightly said, and I thought it was really interesting because I found it completely by accident. It was just in our bunch of ROMs that we have. And the first one I played, it had music, and I was playing it, and I was like, So I had a look on Lemon 64, and it listed no one as the musician. I thought, hang on, what was the music? Then I read the Zapped review, and then it said, no, there's no music. And so I looked, and I went, this has actually been cracked. And I found the other version. It was like, there is no music. So this is weird. But it led me to the same, absolutely, the 100% the same consideration of and with the same game, Warhawk. Do I like Warhawk because of that great Rob Hubbard piece? Do I like Light Force because of the great Rob Hubbard piece?
It does make a difference.
It's massively weird because if you play this version with the music, I much more enjoyed myself. It's just
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
weird.
absolutely.
It's not. It doesn't make it brilliant, but it certainly lifts the experience.
Yes, it does.
You know, and so that is a strange thing, but it shows you the power that just putting a tune on something goes to show a decent tune on a even a mediocre experience can do a lot of heavy lifting to make you enjoy it more. I mean, it can't polish crap like Knuckle Busters.
No.
But if it's a mediocre game where it's doing what it's doing okay, it can make it better. So there you go.
Yeah.
Force One. It is a bad name though.
Yeah. I've forced a few before now.
I felt I had to force this one.
I have been for a poo before now and felt I had to really force it out. So
true. I love the idea though of intergalactic customer service for SOS messages though. That's good.
That would exist.
Like
that it would be there.
Sure it would. There you go. We've got one more left before we head into music, so let's crack on because this has been a long session. So that's up next. So our last one for this session is a game called Cat Trap. Resisting obvious puns. Resisting. This is $9.95 and 55%. And this was converted from the Spectrum original by 5-Way Software and released by Streetwise. I've never heard of them either way. There is something interesting about this game, and that this game was the winner in Crash Magazine's 1986 competition to design a game and have it made. This winning design was by Jonathan Eggleton, who I believe, going by his post on Lemon64, because he's actually posted on Lemon64 about this, he said he was 14 at the time he designed it.
I saw that.
So that's no mean feat, really. So fair play to him. And he also seemingly did the visuals for the Spectrum version. But he does admit in that post that he had nothing to do with the C64 version. So there you go. So what's Cat Trap? It is the story of a 24th century Earth that had been abandoned by humans and been colonized by strange catmen. When the humans return from wherever they went to, they are none too happy to find Earth in the clutches of said catmen, and so send down 2 droids to sort the mess out. That seems like a really low response. This sounds like they don't want the Earth that much, if all they can spare is a couple of droids. So these droids are MT Ed and Hercules 1. However, upon landing, Hercules 1 is captured, and it's up to MT Ed to complete the mission. So this game is a flick screen in either horizontal direction shooter. But you control MT Ed, so it's not a flight one. You're on the floor, basically, and you have to navigate your way along through 14 different zones while shooting, or trying to shoot, enemies that will kill you if they shoot you or touch you. These enemies range from catmen to ghosts to bouncing balls and all manner of other strange stuff. And that's it, really. There's nothing else. There are no levels to speak of, which is weird, because there's 14 zones. Just each zone just runs into the next. There's no, just, you sort of end up at the end of one, you pick something up and then you're into the next one. It feels weird. There's no, it's sort of endless. And you can go back and forth from zone to zone just by heading back to the left as well. It feels weird. The enemies are meandering annoyances that kill you more by chance. And send you bouncing off massively, and you bounce up and then down and land on your head, and it's really slow and boring and annoying and dull when you die. And then they can just be all around you, and one more touch, and you quite easily get into a death loop. The graphics are muddy, I thought, and quite ill-defined. With MT Ed being like a strange Hoover-like device with legs, and the various enemies lacking any real style or thematic consistency. It's just sprites for sprite's sake. It's just there's no sort of consistent design ethos here. The backgrounds are okay, if a bit ugly, and the game is just a procedure of boring screens to progress through. There's not much fun to be had here, and far too many annoyances in the control system. Why is my moving jump dead long and my standing jump very brief? I have massive legs. I should be able to jump dead high. Yes. Why must I hold a direction to shoot when I do not have any grenades? Or when you do pick up grenades, what is it when I try to just press a fire button that my head opens? What is it? Why give me a duck when I can't duck underneath anything? Not a duck, a quack duck, but an actual, that'd be something. But no, a duck. You can duck. You can duck down, but you can't duck underneath anything because everything's too low. It's it's just annoying. So you don't even want to persevere. It's odd, and this is an odd game. It's it comes from the mind of a 14-year-old, so it's odd. It's okay if it's coupled with a good game, but here it's just not. I don't know whether this is a bad conversion. I haven't played the Spectrum version. Maybe the Spectrum version is better. This might be just a bad conversion, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. It's come from a 14-year-old's brain. I'll hold off, for whatever. But I would have expected the older heads, the designers, the people who made this, to shave off some of the annoyances rather than let them through. So it's okay as a 14-year-old going, we do this, we do that, and you can do this. And you go, hang on, that's yes, I see what you're trying to go, but maybe we just not do that because it's not a very good idea because it doesn't play very well. It's almost like, someone should have sat him down and gone, we'll make your idea, but we're going to make it into something playable. And here they haven't. So I don't know what's happened with the C64 version. It's just a bad game. And I didn't enjoy my time with Cat Trap. And I'm not going to make the obvious rhyming slang pun on the name either. I refuse because it's too easy. It's just low hanging fruit, and I'm better than that. So I didn't like Cat Trap. I thought it was not very good, just a bit meandering and ugly and pointless. What did you think?
My initial comment for this game was, "What in God's name is this?"
Yeah, there's that too.
I know it was based on the design and the competition that was in Crash, wasn't it? In Spectrum, like you say, and the guy that did it was 14 at the time. All right, I get all that. Okay, so. It was somebody had an idea, and this was the game made flesh in that true Videodrome tradition. Which is terrifying. Really.
Long live the new Cat Trap.
Exactly. It's the man himself. He's made flesh. The premise. I don't think the premise of the game is really the problem here. It's just been put together by an inept team of people. I mean, the graphics are crap. The backgrounds are crap. The sprites are crap. The sound is really bloody annoying. The game controls badly. Everything is kind of crap. I spent most of the time being flippy-floppied away from things I accidentally hit.
Yep.
Not 100% sure what I was shooting. It's just not very good. And I don't get... my feeling was from this game, knowing that it was created by the mind of a 14-year-old, it wasn't the mind of the 14-year-old that was the problem. This was badly implemented. It was just a badly realised version of that thing. So
yes.
I kind of felt sorry for him. It's just a crap conversion of his idea. And at this price for 10 quid? £10?
Yeah, £10. Oof.
No, I don't think that even the person that wanted this game would have wanted that. It was poor at best. So I didn't get a lot from it. I thought it was pretty weak, pretty crappy, really. In fact, very crappy. So no, it's not a game I would have... And it's oddly enough, it wasn't a game I came across. Cat Trap is another one of those games that just completely missed me. But what saddens me a little bit is that at the heart of this game, there is quite a nice idea. The 14-year-old's idea isn't bad to have this kind of game. Maybe the ideas in the game are a little bit crazy, but there is enough ideas in there, and they could have made this game less
crap.
They could have just applied a bit of their logic.
Yeah,
to a bit of his logic. Yeah, totally. And just met him in the middle somewhere, like you say. They didn't do that. So Cat Trap, well, the T and the K, are they the wrong way around to it? It's asking too much, really. It's
too easy. It's too easy, man. We're better than this. We're better than this.
We're better than that. I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to the Lord Humongous's view. Just walk away.
Just walk away. All I want is the bad pun. Please walk away.
You like Cat Trap. You know it's a bad pun. Walk away. Just leave your gasoline and walk away. So I'm walking away right now.
Let's walk away.
Thank you, Lord Humongous, for your insight. Thank you for the 14-year-old insight, but I'm just walking away. Walk away now.
Walk away in your man nappy.
You say man nappy. I will kill you for this at some point. Not now. All I want is your gasoline. Now walk away.
I'm slowly walking away, so I can't kill you. Thanks, Humo.
Thanks, Humo. Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
And do not call them my man nappy or mappy again.
What do you call it?
I never said those words. I never said those words. All right, I'm just saying that. I never said those words. All right, bye.
Is he gone? Is he gone?
Is he gone? Is he off? Is he
gone? He's walked away.
Who said mappy, for Christ's sake? I said it once and I didn't say it again. Which one of you said that to him? Which one was it? For Christ's sake. He's very sensitive. How many times you've been over this? He's sensitive about his face, his hockey mask, and his mappy. For Christ's sake.
All you want him to do is walk away, and that's all he's done. It's time for us to walk away now. This part's gone for ages. It's only did 4 games. All right, we'll be back in a bit. Listen to this. We'll be back, and then we'll have some. We're walking away, and we'll have some music in August 1987.
I'm walking away right now.
Just leave the gasoline.
hearty meat pies to our amazing sponsor, davidhearnwriter.com, where you will find bargain books, ebooks, audiobooks, and more. I think we should listen to a sample from his brand new book, Escape from the Commodore 64. Let's go.
Sarah turned on her heel and stomped back down the hall, turning to make sure she wasn't being followed. As she passed Reese's room, she saw the blue glow of his computer sitting idly on his desk. A hulking beige-brown mass, it always made Sarah think of the family bread bin whenever she saw it. "Ooh, I got sucked into the computer," Sarah whispered. She looked left and right before making the split-second decision to creep into her brother's room. If he knew she was in there, he'd go spare. "And everyone believes me because I'm so good. Well done, 5 points for Reese. Oh, I'm a total hacker. 8, 1. In a flash of anger, jealousy, Sarah couldn't even work out exactly what it was she was feeling. She yanked the joystick from its place on the desk and began wriggling it around. Left, right, left, up, down, and around the garden like a teddy. Before she could finish her sentence, the room flashed and her backpack fell to the floor.
Very cool indeed. Escape from the Commodore 64 audiobook is out right now. To find out more, visit davidhearnwriter.com.
And we're back with all the goodness of the music that was going on in August 1987. So let's get on with it. Let's get on with this.
Let's just do it. Let's get on with it.
Let's just do it. Number one singles. The first week of August, we had La Bamba by Los Lobos again. Haven't we spoken about this already?
We did La 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 Bamba. It's apparently a dance, actually, more than a thing. So it's the dance language. Our instructions to dance La Bamba. One needs a bit of grace. I'm not a sailor. I'm a captain. Bamba.
Gascoigne?
All right. Bamba, Gascoigne. Do you know the answer? I don't know.
This is your starter for 10. You've got
it wrong. Anyway, yes. Apparently, it's the film La Bamba that's...
Yeah.
Did you see... I didn't even see the film.
I have. It's the story of what's his face in it who died in the... Didn't he die in the Buddy Holly plane crash? Is he Richie Valance?
I don't know at all. I'm going... yes, he did, because yes, I don't know. I genuinely don't know, so... I'm just going with that.
Take a punt on yes, but maybe not. Don't trust me when I say someone's dead, don't forget. He's
a
probably
50-50
still alive
chance,
listening to the podcast. Anyway, La Bamba, that was first week. For the next 2 weeks, you had I Just Can't Stop Loving You, which was Michael Jackson with Cedar Garrett. I remember how to pronounce the name. Cedar Garrett.
Yeah, the first single from Bad.
Was this really the first single release from Bad?
Yes, it was, yeah.
What a strange one for a first release.
Well, it was the first release. Does that mean it was the first release in Europe? I didn't check into that. I'm not a fan of Michael Jackson at this point,
Bad
generally.
was the first release.
No.
I remember seeing the video for it.
No. Well, that might have been the first release in the UK or in Europe. We're talking about global crazy at this point.
Well, we haven't seen anything, have we, from Michael Jackson so far in the charts?
Well, I have. He sent me a picture of his. He sent me a picture of his fists.
Be careful.
And his belly button. So
why did he do that?
Well, that's because he was just Michael Jackson. He liked that.
He didn't when I said it.
Yeah, yours was not what we'd call a belly button, but okay.
It was more a belly zip.
There was too much draft and not enough...
too much fluff and not enough buff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And what am I even talking about anyway? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Michael
I don't know who's
my belly button.
I don't know who Cedar Garrett is either, so I don't know. I don't know.
This song's all right. I mean, it's not bad, but it's certainly not the best of Bad anyway. That was then replaced for the final 2 weeks of August, which was a 5-week month, by Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. The classic.
The classic.
That just won't go away.
No, now, there are a lot of myths and legends about this track, there are. And most of the story about the construction of this spun by Pete Waterman. And most of that is bullshit. All right? It is bullshit. So this was a massive hit at the time in 1987. It was obviously, again, once the Rick Rolling thing happened, it was a massive hit then as well, in terms of its viral thing. But we'll maybe look at that in a different way. But the general construction of this is a rip-off or homage to the Captain Abrahams track Trapped. And if you listen to Trapped, so can I listen to what you say? It's that was a bad impression. If you listen to it, it's terrible, really.
I'm stunned into silence over here.
It's a tough decision to make. I don't really want to lose you. Now, so this this is basically a rip-off. Never Going to Give You Up. The bass line is a rip-off of the Captain Abrahams track Trapped. And if you listen to the bass sequencing of those, that it's a direct influence over this. And this becomes really important later. So if you believe Pete Waterman, Rick Astley was a T-boy at Stock Aitken and Waterman. He just happened to be an amazing singer. It's like, he walked in, he was whistling and humming this tune. He was like, wow, that's really amazing. Just sing the C-A-B. Sing me Do, Re, Mi. Sing me, one of those. Wow.
It's like a story from EastEnders or Neighbours or something.
Yeah, it's utter bullshit. That didn't happen.
Yeah, of course.
It absolutely didn't. Rick Astley was actually a brilliant singer already and is an amazing singer, no doubt about that. And he was, this time he's a drummer for a band called FBI. So when the singer left that band to pursue other interests, the guitarist and Rick Astley were hired by Stock Aitken and Waterman to produce a track. And I think at this particular point, Rick Astley has sung in front of Pete Waterman, who obviously had heard him sing and thought, wow, and $, signs had rung in his eyes at this point. He does have a unique voice in that respect. So the single was catchy. Stock Aitken and Waterman had found their hit factory groove at this point, lining up a Lynn 9000 drum machine and its sequencers, a Roland DX7 Juno and a Yamaha, and this was recorded on New Year's Day in that year. And that was their machinery to produce hit after hit after hit after hit. Now, I like Stock Aitken and Waterman, and I've said this many times, but up to this point, I like them. After this is where the factory comes in. No thanks. This is where it gets really dark.
Yeah, well, we said this about the Bananarama song, didn't we, as well? This is where it's...
Yes, they rammed bananas where they wanted, but no.
Yeah, they should have given up, but they never could give up ramming the bananas.
No, and obviously this came back to dominate a viral hit with the Rick Rolling thing, and that's actually crazy what happened. That resulted in more sales of his single than it did originally when it came out. So crazy, but that's the world we live in
Very
right
strange. Now. It is. There you go. It's your number one singles. Number one albums. Once again, for the first 3 weeks, we had hit 6. So many hits, yeah. Just a lot of hits on that one.
You can't say hit 6 without sounding like a snake.
Hit 6. Replacing it, though, for 1 week was Hysteria by Def Leppard. What an album.
Yeah, we mentioned it, didn't we? Yeah.
We did. It's a brilliant album. Because I think we had Animal out last week, didn't we? Last month.
We did, yes, but it suffers from the curse.
I don't agree with you on this, so this is all you.
Well, the curse of Def Leppard is that, and I've covered several Def Leppard tracks, so I've been in bands that have covered this stuff from both a drumming and a guitaring point of view. So all I can say to you is that almost all of the songs on this album, that's Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me and Armageddon It, they run out of steam about 3/4 of the way through. So you just end up looping over yourself on these tracks because they kind of lose it a little bit. They do. They're great songs, but that does happen to them. So it's a bit of they don't quite have an ending, do they?
A lot of them do fade off. I mean, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Pour Some Sugar's got a great ending.
But Pour Some Sugar on Me is one of those tracks that halfway through doesn't change. It just doesn't go anywhere. It's just like...
It doesn't need to. It's already brilliant.
No, it does. But it is what it is. You either like... don't get me wrong. I love that Def Leppard album. It's amazing. And it's a testament to 2.5 years of production as well, I think. Maybe more.
It's massively produced. Massively.
It would be because it took 2.5 years, 3 years to make. Because the drummer lost an arm during the recording of it, so... But
it's just the amount of overdubs and effects and weird stuff and reversing and all the weird, crazy crap on it. There you go. Hysteria, Def Leppard. I don't know what else to say with that. But back for the last week of the month, Hit 6 came back. People couldn't get enough of those hits. They couldn't get enough.
98% good on that, we remember.
Absolutely. So there we go. Right, so let's look at singles. 2nd of August, in at number 5 was Michael Jackson's Cedar Garrett with I Just Can't Stop Loving You. We've spoken about that. Number 32, Never Gonna Give You Up. Rick Astley, again, as above. We've talked about those.
About that.
Number 48 was Say You Really Want Me by Kim Wilde.
Yeah.
There you go. What's Running Scared? Who was that? What was that? The film Running Scared?
I'm not sure. Was it a British film? I didn't see Running Scared. The weird thing about this track was that it was banned off TV by Timmy Mallet. Timmy Mallet just said, no, I am not playing Say You Really Want Me by Kim Wilde. Forget that. No, I didn't realise, A, that Timmy Mallet had that kind of power.
No.
And B, it made me wonder if did he enforce that with his mallet?
Maybe. He may well have done.
Did he go to meetings with that mallet and like, right, we want to play this track. It's called Say You Really Want Me by Kim Wilde. No! Did you realise, Tim, that is a sponge mallet you're hitting the desk with? Because I just want to, no, all right. That sounds quite disturbing. No. Why did Timmy Mallet have that power?
Well, it's his show. If he could ban it off his show, I mean, he could ban it off his show.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough. If he had that control of the mallet's mallet, but okay.
Running Scared I do recognise it. It's got Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal in.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sort of mid-80s buddy cop thing. So it's like a drug deal. It's one of those mid-80s buddy cop films with a soundtrack that has songs like this in. There were many of them, and this is another one of them. Number 60 was Chain Gang Smile by Brother Beyond.
Yeah. Did you like them?
No. No. You need to. Your research on this has drawn up some interesting facts, though, which had me laughing.
I like to think that I researched these things well. So this single by Brother Beyond was produced by Don Was, but it was not produced by
Not Was.
Yeah, but it was not by Not Was. So just make of that logic what you will. They've got a band member in this band called Francis Egg White. It's not full egg. It's just EG. Yeah, it's EG. So by technically it's a Francis Example White.
EG.
Anyway, when the songwriters and producers, who were Stock Aitken and Waterman, no surprises there, auctioned off their services to charity. I don't get it. That's just weird in itself. Anyway, Brother Beyond and their label EMI won the auction. There's this weird thing in my mind of some kind of auction where this Stock Aitken and going, do I hear £15,000? £15,000 now for producing a track for some random band that you never heard of. And EMI went, yes, us, me, bing, 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 me. Waving his, I don't know. How does that work anyway?
I don't know.
EMI won the auction. I have no idea where that weird charity auction happened anyway.
So
Brother Beyond won that. So they Stock Aitken and Waterman produced this stuff. Weirdly, it was actually in its hit factory moment kind of popular. But later, Egg White won the Ivor Novello Award for writing Will Young's Leave Right Now. My question at the end of this is this. Surely, a remix album of Egg White's tracks would be Omelette.
Yes, it's very good.
Or, as you've rightly pointed out, Albumin, or is that the yolk?
I don't know. Yeah, because album by men.
I feel there's a lot of cracked, broken egg jokes that could have been brought into play.
Eggery.
There is egg-based shenanigans that could have been brought into play. They weren't. It's a tragedy, really.
I know.
It's a tragedy.
It really is. I mean, I might have been way more into Brother Beyond if they'd have embraced the egg.
The actual band themselves, as an aside, were I think two brothers and somebody else. They weren't terrible. They weren't a terrible band, but they were in the machinery. Yeah, but they were in the machine. No, they weren't even blindcore. They were more pop.
Oh, they were, weren't they? They were one of the sort of earliest like boy bands, weren't they?
Yeah,
sort of
totally. Yeah. And they were in the machinery, So we'll come across this more and more as we head through this, which is why it's interesting. So
number 95 was "Edge of a Broken Heart" by Briar. Have you ever heard of Briar?
No, I hadn't. And these are an interesting band.
Yeah. I'm glad I put this one in.
The video for Briar and this song are inexplicable. It cannot be explained. For everyone that listens to this podcast, we'll put the link to the video in the show notes. Just watch the video. Because everything about this video is everything about it's weird.
Yep.
The hair is white mullets. They've got white mullets. I don't even know what that means. Their actual band life reads like Spinal Tap. If you look at their band history, they are like a real life Spinal Tap. Ozzy Osbourne in this video, his appearance in this is like It's just bizarre. It's like he's channeling Spaniard. His hair is ridiculous. Let alone Lemmy being in the video for this. Who are these people? I know they're from the kind
Midlands,
of Midlands, the Midlands, Birmingham area.
Yeah.
Who the hell are they?
Don't know.
And like you said, Jonathan King. I think they were signed to Jonathan King's label for some time, and then it all went a bit pear-shaped. And
There's Bruce Dickinson in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's all really wild. I don't know who they are, but they're really well connected. It's really strange.
Yeah,
It's
I've never
really
heard them.
strange.
Never
I
heard
haven't.
them.
And it's a Bon Jovi cover.
What this song is?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Well, that would explain why the chorus, not the chorus, the solo at 3 minutes 10 sounds like "You Give Love a Bad Name." It sounds like that riff speeded up. I don't know if you listened.
Yeah, it did, because it's a Bon Jovi cover.
I can't remember but it's that speeded up. Yeah, I did laugh at Ozzy Osbourne suffering from massive Spaniering of the hair, which I thought it's
ridiculous.
That would be the verb, would it be? That Spaniering?
I think Spaniering's the verb now.
I've suffered massive Spaniering of the hair.
I've been Spaniard, but not actually. No, we have to be careful. That would be because that would be not been Spanish. I don't know how we work that out.
No, Spanish with Spaniard, Spaniering.
With a G.
It's not. Yeah, there's a G in there.
Yeah, Spaniard with a G, not Spaniard with a in an A-R-I-D. But
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Briar, weird. 9th of August, in at number 29. Speaking of a Bon Jovi cover, there is a Bon Jovi song, "Never Say Goodbye" by Bon Jovi.
Yeah, it was never released as a single in the US, so it was a particularly UK thing, I think, or UK Europe.
It's
thing.
all right. This single, innit? It's a bit of a. This would be a proper lighter in the air wave moment, wouldn't it? At the
power ballad, I think.
Yeah, never say goodbye. That one, so,
yeah.
Number 30, "Happy When It Rains," the Jesus and Mary chain.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of theirs.
No,
particularly. It's all right. This track, I listened to it. It was typical of them.
Yeah, I put it. They always seem stuck somewhere in the middle of Echo and the Bunnymen, sort of a goth band, and the Smiths. They're somewhere stuck in the middle of all that, but like they're just a weird, strange band. That Jesus and Mary chain. They're all right, but they never sort of made a single that made me go, that's ace. Number 38, "You Got the Look" by Prince.
Classic track, really, for them. For Prince, really.
Yeah, from Sign of the Times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the first track off the second album, because it's a double album of Sign of the Times. It's the first track on album 2. It's an amazing track, this. It's beautiful. Are you a fan of "You Got the Look"? Or I don't know where you sit in the Prince camp.
It's okay. It's one of his more better singles that I don't mind.
What's interesting about the whole thing is, of course, Sheena Easton's in it. And Sheena Easton, up to this point in the UK, had been, "My baby works the 9 to 5. He does the
she did that, didn't she?
Yeah, loads of other tracks that were total UK-based guff. Nothing that was going to and then she reappeared magically in the video, and because she wasn't credited in the original song, she appeared in the video for "You Got the Look," and it's like, oh my lord, she's like crazy 80s hot.
Yeah, but she's suffering from massive Spaniering of the hair.
That is the 80s way, isn't it? Your hair has to get backcombed and big. Your face has to be small and featureless, and you've got to have no prevailing factors of anything other than smooth on your skin. I mean, she's flawless in her skin and everything else, and she's a crazy, beautiful woman. But the difference between the 9 to 5 version of Sheena Easton and the Prince "You Got the Look" version is crazy, the difference. But that's branding for you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable, really, And she's good in that song and that video. I think it features in the Sign of the Times thing and the film that was around at the time with it in. But
probably, yeah.
You either like it or you don't. It's a great track. It wasn't one of the great tracks that it didn't live in the Prince. I'm not sure what the word is, but in all of the legacy of his songs, there's certain Prince songs that resonate. So 1999. Sign of the Time. I'm not sure that "You Got the Look" ever really did, in a kind of weird way. I don't know quite why, but it didn't quite sit in there. But there's many others that do. Many others that do.
And number 72, "If There Was a Man," and that's Pretenders for 007. So this is Pretenders doing a track for the Living Daylights soundtrack.
Yeah, the end credits. So it appears at the end credits of Living Daylights.
Yeah, as you've written, slow plunky plonky piano. Yeah.
Yeah. She starts singing, and then it quickly... It quickly descends into
fish and plankton, sea greens and protein from the sea. And then it stopped coming, and they came instead.
Sea greens and proteins and fish from the sea. And then the singing starts, and the people stopped coming, and the sea greens, and the proteins, and the fish would say,
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary. The problem with this song is it's bloody awful. And
It's
it's terrible.
It is very dull. It's a very dull
Bad.
song.
It's not the worst we'll come across, but it's bad. I think
number 78.
Make sure you use that GIF from that.
I'll try. Number 78, Pressure Down. Pressure Down by John Farnham.
It's a bit of did you watch the video?
I did. Well, look, I've noted. Did you not notice it's massively chasing that Peter Gabriel big train?
Yes. I thought
Did you not?
that.
As soon as that came on, I was like, this is trying to do Sledgehammer.
Yes.
I just sort of put the big train pun in, basically, because that was obviously a Peter Gabriel song. But yeah, this was hugely just like, oh, I'll have a bit of that Peter Gabriel sort of weird sort of music, and the video was like sub Sledgehammer.
Yeah. No.
So
Perfect.
So, yeah, that's what it was. I mean, so
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Number 81 was The Rhythm Divine by Yellow and Shirley Bassey.
Yeah. The Bond song
Strange
that never
combo.
was.
Yeah. Well, it's Shirley Bassey singing it, as you've noted.
Well, I think that's the problem because I listened to the whole video and it's genuinely amazing. Her vocals are incredible in that.
They're very good.
And it is a James Bond song that never happened. It's just a pity that she is flanked by two utter weirdos. Other than that, it's great.
Yeah, aged Benny Hill and a creepy Bruce Forsyth.
Yeah, but even
Peter Meyer and Boris Blank.
If that was the best description you had of yourself, nobody wants that. Nobody wants it. No one.
No.
Nobody.
Number 90, Give to Live by Sammy Hagar. This sounds very convoluted. I'm going to read this out, what you've written here. So this was off Sammy Hagar's 9th solo album, I Never Said Goodbye, that was confusingly released while he was in Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen plays bass on it and guitar on one of the tracks, and Van Halen also cover this and a couple of other songs from the album and perform them in their live shows. Apparently the whole album was recorded in 10 days as part of a contractual obligation to Geffen Records and a condition of him then being able to join Van Halen and their record label. Why didn't they just... What? The music business is weird. Why would you hold him to this? Just let him do Van Halen stuff. It's Van Halen recording the Sammy Hagar album.
I know. That's what's brilliant about it. He was in Van Halen when this album was released. That's what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
They released a Sammy Hagar solo album when he was in Van Halen to release him from his contractual obligations of being a solo
Sammy
artist.
Hagar.
So he could join Van Halen.
So he could no longer be Sammy Hagar. He had to be Van Halen.
Yeah.
He was no longer Sammy Hagar.
And Van Halen cover those same Sammy Hagar tracks.
I hope they baptized him to sort of bring him back into Van. You're no longer Sammy Hagar. You are Van Halen. Woo. And while they did it, Van Halen did a sort of on the guitar while he was sort of getting lowered into the water. 16th of August. At number 10, what have I done to deserve this? By the Pet Shop Boys and Dusty Springfield. I'm
not a fan of this track particularly. I like Dusty Springfield, but she was not their amazing choice. The record label wanted different people in there, including Tina Turner or Barbra Streisand. It was their first ever collaborative work.
I'm trying to get my head around a Pet Shop Boys Tina Turner collaboration, and I can't. There's nothing in that. I can't even picture it in my head. It just nothing fits together of that. I can't. Barbra Streisand maybe. I just can't. I can't get it. What have I? Oh, I just can't do it.
I'm your private. I don't know.
There's too many syllables in the name of the song. Anyway, number 13, Girlfriend in a Coma by the Smiths.
Nah. No.
So this was their last single to include newly recorded B-side. Material on the B-side contains the band's last recorded song, I Keep Mine Hidden, as well as the cover of a Cilla Black song, Work is a 4-letter word.
Which were both recorded in May 1987.
Yeah, and Morris's insistence on including the Cilla Black B-side annoyed Johnny Marr, and he left the band soon afterwards. And he said in 1992, work is a 4-letter word I hated. It was the last straw. I didn't form a group to form Cilla Black songs. That was it, really. I made the decision that I was going to get away on holiday. There you go. And he never saw Morrissey again after he buggered off to LA.
Nope.
Yeah. And as you've written now, that's what happens if you force someone to do a cover of a Cilla Black song. And as I've added, surprise, surprise.
Yeah. The thing is, if you do that, if you go, right, we're a cutting-edge tween angst band, and I think we should cover a Cilla Black song, apart from the fact that most of those tweens would go Scylla who.
Well, no, she was massive at that time because she had Blind Date and Surprise Surprise on the go.
Maybe.
Everyone knew who Cilla Black was in the 80s.
Yeah, all right. To be fair, yes, I agree with you, actually, yeah.
No, but I think maybe the 80s people, we didn't know about her pop career from the 60s. That was the thing we didn't know much of.
And that's because in my local chip shop, they had a Cilla Black chip level. So it was like you could have small, this is true, small, medium, large, or Cilla Black. Weird. She apparently she really liked the chips. She really liked chips. So
I hope that's true. I've been in Wyber's Chippy and I've never seen that on the board.
That wasn't Wyber's Chippy. That was a chip shop that lived locally, but not Wyber's. But yeah.
What, the Willers?
No, what the Willers? No.
I'll have a bag of chips, please. Cilla Black size. Get the trowel out.
Surprise! It's massive. That's 4 scoops of potato you're talking about.
No blind dates for you for the next 4 weeks. That's for sure. Jesus. Number 17, Whenever You're Ready by 5 Star.
Yeah.
I listened to this.
We've said it before. But the Romford Jacksons, their names are brilliant. It was Denise, Doris, Lorraine, Delroy, and Stedman. Pearson. That was their surname, Pearson. But the Pearsons formed... And this particular track, it's not terrible. It just sounds more like the Jacksons than ever. So
yeah, it's not great.
No,
number 22, Didn't We Almost Have It All by Whitney Houston.
We did. That's a huge power ballad. That's why you should charge my mobile. So
you just put this song on it. It's like instant charge.
Didn't we almost have it all? Bing, 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 bing. Wow! That was way less time than I thought it would be.
So much energy. But this would be much better if it didn't actually sound so much like Whitney Houston. I'm on the critic side here.
Well, exactly. She sounds much like the Whitney Houston. It's incredible.
Yeah, she sounds so much like Whitney Houston that I just, I don't know what else to sort of say. I'm just bored with it. Whitney Houston's Whitney Houston sound. Number 24 was Wildflower by The Cult. And at number 24, The Return of the Robo-Vampires impersonating the Rolling Stones. Or is it In Excessi? I don't know. The video, as you rightly say, is crap. As is the vocal game produced by a robot. There's so much head shaking and hair in this video.
There is.
Every time the camera switches someone else, they have to shake their head or flick their hair back or just everything. It's just they look at each other sometimes and head shake together. It's not the most head shaking and hair we'll see in a video this month. There's worse coming up.
There is.
There's inexplicably worse coming up, but this is particularly head shakingly hairy bad.
I'm not a fan of robo-vampires with The Cult. That's what they became. I didn't realise they became that until obviously we've done this podcast.
No, I didn't.
But in this video, it's proper. Even the guitars sound like they're made by a robot, so it's terrible.
It's really bad. Number 27 was the $5.98 EP Garage Days Revisited by Metallica.
Otherwise known as...
I don't know. What is this?
It's otherwise known as the $9.99 CD.
Of course it is, because it's Metallica and they want their money. Lars Ulrich needs new pairs of pants.
This is genuinely a series of songs that was recorded prior to their 1987 Monsters of Rock performance. So this was with a new bass player, Jason Newsted, who replaced Cliff Burton, who was the one that died.
Yeah.
So it's all it's recorded in Lars Ulrich's garage with soundproofing. It's just weird. It's just like, well, let's get back to basics. Let's record some stuff. So it's just a random collection of real weird covers, which you can Google. I didn't list the covers, but you can Google them. They're really odd. It's a really odd EP. And they recorded this to release on tape because, tapes where it was meant to be one of those, like, we're a garage band doing demo recordings, Weirdly, this is the thing. And when we think about it, we never did this, did we? With our band, me and you. We never actually released a little tape recording of our sessions. No. We never did one. So.
That's a good cause.
It is good cause.
Yeah, so number 33.
We never did that.
Number 33, Wonderful Life, 1987 by Black.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. It's a wonderful. No, thanks.
Yeah, as I've noted, the one thing this song does for me is consider that life is not indeed wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure maybe that's the irony of the song. I don't know.
It's awful. It's terrible. No.
Yeah.
Egg off.
Number 41 is Wipeout. Wipeout by the Fat Boys and the Beach Boys. Not my cup of tea. I hated this nonsense.
Not me either. The Fat Boys were one of the first groups to do proper beatboxing. This predates DJ Micah G and the Holiday Rap. Thank Christ for that. We'll come to that, no doubt.
Yeah,
and they did a lot of that, and they released full albums, which apparently a lot of rap acts hadn't done to them. We're at that early stage of rap. This is the very early stages of rap becoming much bigger, and so the Fat Boys were a bit of a thing about that. I don't quite know how they met or why they met the Beach Boys, but there they are.
God only knows. But I do remember, the thing I remember about the Fat Boys is I do remember that single, but it's the one they did with Freddy Krueger. They do a Nightmare on Elm Street one.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. No, we'll come to that.
Number 47 is Seattle by Public Image Limited.
I don't like him.
No, I don't either. I feel like I've watched the video and it's like his eyelids have been pulled up by tape.
It is. He's got a weird,
always stupidly wide.
Yes, and he's got a weird wobbly voiced sort of vocal that's over the generally half forgotten music. So he's like, I don't like crisps, but I do like cheese, and just no.
Number 62, I'm Not in Love by Johnny Logan.
That was weird, wasn't it? Did you listen to the whole track? I
did not even listen to this. No, I included this because I just thought it was nice of Johnny to let us know.
It's a 10cc cover. I'm not in love.
Cheers, Johnny.
Well, Johnny Logan
that one.
Yeah, it's the 10cc.
Okay.
It's a cover of the 10cc song. He didn't win the Eurovision in 1978, but went on to they entered him again in 1979, and he won it. And he was a very popular.
He was
Irish folk singer. So the only anomaly I found about this "I'm Not in Love" cover was that it was produced by Paul Hardcastle, which really threw me.
Well, someone's got to put wine on the table.
Yeah.
Number 77 is Through the Flowers by the Primitives. I don't know a lot about the Primitives, but yeah, like you, I only really knew Crash, which is great. I do really like Crash. I always thought they were American as well for some strange reason, but they come from Coventry.
Yeah, did you realise that? Because when I realised that, I was like, wow, that's amazing.
No. And their lead singer, I should hate, she's called Tracy. But I went off on a bit of this afternoon. I listened to a few more Primitive tracks that I didn't know. I've come to the conclusion that I really like the Primitives.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and listen. I'm going to go listen to a lot more because they've got some. They're kind of in the middle of they're sort of punk, new wave, indie sound with a bit of Crash. They're kind of heavier than what you'd expect, but not quite crappy Transvision vamp sound, but more tuneful and better and catchy. So
if you wrote them off with Crash, you'd be crazy.
No, I didn't.
Wouldn't you?
I didn't write them off. I just never listened to anything else. That's all I knew.
Same. So when I heard this track, I was like, "Wow, that's actually brilliant." So I need to listen to a bit more of the Primitives because I have given them literally one track's time worth of days. So.
They signed. I can't remember. I was reading the wiki. So this is pre them signing to a big label. So this is them producing this, I think, on their own label and releasing it. So they've not actually gone and done an album or anything yet. So the first time I've seen them. So I think this is their debut single.
Wow.
So good stuff. Yeah, there we go. Another good song, number 93, Love Changes Everything by Climby Fisher.
Do you like, you said
I really like this. Yeah, I really like this song.
What?
Really do. Yeah, I think this is a great song. This is a great pop ballad that manages to walk a fine line. It's just a really well written song. And I'm not a massive much of other Climby Fisher stuff I could give or take, but Love Changes Everything is a cracking tune. Yeah, I really like this.
Wow, okay.
Always have done. It's just a good pop. Some ballads can be sloppy and stuff, but this kind of just walks that fine. It's nice. It's just a good, nice song. It has a great tune. Yeah. I can see it why it was written for Rod Stewart, because in my head I could hear him butchering this.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so I'm glad he turned it down, because it was obviously then sung by Climby Fisher, and they make a great song of it. So
what baffled me there was that he turned it down because he doesn't sing the songs of other people.
That's all he does, isn't it?
Yes.
Apart from now when he's punching bouncers. At number 97, we're still not finished for this day. It's "Cry Tough" by Poison. Now we spoke. I mentioned it a little bit earlier on about the worst head shaking hairy video. Yes. This is Jesus Christ.
This video has some questions, and they need to be asked.
This video.
So the questions I asked, and you've added to these. So I'll ask my questions. You can add to them. The first question I had is, why did 80s hair metal guitarists spin so much? And you've added...
Or roll on the floor if normal spinning seemed passé.
Because they spin a lot, roll around, don't they? They do. There's a lot of spinning.
There's a lot of spinning for no reason.
Then my second question is, do they sing, have you got a croissant?
You've got a croissant, yes. Out on the street to bake your dreams happen. Which is kind of weird.
Does it set that you have to listen to, and we'll post the video links obviously in the channel notes for this.
We will.
So you too can listen to it.
You too can get therapy after watching this video.
And then I've put they're always falling and rolling on stage. In that video, they are spectacular.
It's dreadful.
Like ducking, rolling down. Was it an assault course?
I don't know. But did you also notice as well that how the audience were like, they're like these, weird, band sort of thing, but their audience were just like these, not what you'd expect. They were just these people like they're just dragged in off the street. They clearly were like, "God, come on, we've got a band. We want you to go and look and go mad to." There was that girl with the drumsticks. What was it all about?
Yeah, and apart from that, the lead singer of Poison's an ugly bastard. Anyway, and then on the top of all that, you got how and why did this bunch of stupid derivative arseholes become popular?
Don't know. I mean, the song itself as well, like the guitarist is all rocking out and all that, and it's just CFG by the sound of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It just sounded like three chords. I was like, just what's he doing? Why is he doing what he's doing? Because he's not doing anything. As I've noted, they look like shit knockoff New York Dolls.
Yeah, they do, and it's not good. Not good at all. And he's ugly. No. He's ugly. Ugly.
Ugly, rolling, and cheap is no way to go through life.
No, just to quote BioShock, it's ugly, ugly, ugly.
Absolutely.
He tried making music and it came out wrong.
Would you kindly do one and go away? 23rd of August. It doesn't get better. Number 22. Some people are Cliff Richard.
No, I've produced a little diagram for you of this.
I've noticed, yes.
And we'll post this maybe in our show. We should post it, really. But there are many faces of Cliff Richard. I can't explain or describe what these images are. We're just going to have to screen grab it and post it in, I think.
Yeah.
Has he been fireballed? Has he been woganed? Has he been flossuped? Has he been lean to? Has he been snot flicked? Has he been Elton-esque? We'll post those in there. You decide.
It's like the roster from a really shit fighting game.
It is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like Snotflick versus Fireball.
Fireball.
It's like if you're loading up the game and this was get to the character select screen and there's just those 6 images. You're like, oh, I've chosen poorly. I should have spent my money on something else.
Oh dear. Anyway, we'll post that in the show notes, I'm sure. We'll move on to the next one.
Number 48 is Loving You Again by Chris Rea.
Yeah, 9th album, Dancing with Strangers. I'm not a fan. It sounds to me like something from a Buddy Buddy Cop video or a John Candy movie.
You're not wrong. Yes, that's what it sounded like to me. 2 blue places down at number 50 is I Don't Want to Be a Hero by Johnny Hates Jazz.
Blandcore.
The ultimate.
Core.
Yep. Slap bass, light trumpet stabs. Yeah. As I put, the epitome of 80s blandcore. This was blandcore synthesized into its purest form and like just made whole. It's like if everything just Curiosity Killed the Cat, Roland Gifty Honk, the Glonk, everything just got merged into one and they became Johnny Hates Jazz. Oh. Yeah. It is the sort of end form of the boss.
It is the heavy egg in the underpants of music.
Number 50 down, number 59, Never Let Me Down by David Bowie. Too late, David, you have.
Yeah, forgettable. Absolutely forgettable.
Late 80s Bowie is forgettable. It features the Bowie sidestep dance. Yep.
Sidestep.
He has another croissant hairdo.
Massive croissant.
As I've noted, he'd also cycled to the video because he had left his bicycle clips on the bottom of his trousers. Don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
It's like just got off and just run in quickly. Oh no, I've got my bicycle clips on. Too late, David. Get dancing. Step. Number 60, Scream Until You Like It by Wasp.
I'm never a fan of Wasp, so...
Neither am I. It's featured on the Ghoulies 2 soundtrack.
Yeah, I think that's why it became popular, but yeah.
Number 87, Making Love in the Rain by Herb Alpert and Lisa Keith.
Yes, that's an important track because Herb's play muted trumpet on that.
Well, he does play muted trumpet. He does.
Well, on that one, he does, but that's the one track he does it on. He doesn't normally do muted trumpet. He hates muted trumpet. So it's worth knowing that, if you're going to speak to Herb at any point.
You're going to mute Herb's trumpet.
Yeah, if you do not, he is not a fan of the Herb. Never mute his trumpet, never.
Liable to go off in your face.
No one mutes Herb's trumpet, no one. Those who try, die.
That's because the build-up of pressure by the mutage will eventually explode and take your head clean off. Who muted Herb's trumpet?
Oh my God, did you do that? Oh, the donkeys have died for 10-mile radius.
Just walk away. Just walk away.
Walk away. Just give us your gasoline and walk away. The donkeys have all died. Walk away.
30th of August. Jesus, we've still got albums to do. Number 22.
I want him to be in that now. I want Herb Alpert to be in Mad Max 2.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Herb, stop playing that now. This is not the time.
There was a little humongous. He had a man nappy on. He wore a man nappy on time.
The idea of Lord Humongous stopping Herb Alpert from playing Spanish Flea as some kind of victory.
He muted his trumpet.
Don't play it now. This is not the time. They have not given us the gasoline. Okay. Wap, 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 wap. Stop doing that. Anyway, sorry, where were we?
I don't know. Number 22, Never Let Me... 30th of August. Number 22, Never Let Me Down Again by Depeche Mode.
That's a good track by them. That's a great track by them, in fact.
It is a great track by them.
Amazing alive to do. Great track. Then.
It is a great track. Number 27, Me and the Farmer by the House Martins.
That's less a great track.
Yeah. Let's say no more about that. Let's just move on. Number 35 was Pump Up the Volume, Anna Tina, The First Time I See She Dance by Mars.
Yeah,
what a massive track
volume,
this was.
Pump up the volume, pump up the volume. Yeah,
I'll tell you why this is a good song. I don't particularly like acid house music, that kind of dance music, not my sort of thing. This, however, is amazing. This is an incredible song. And it strangely enough came on the radio the other day. I was listening to Radio 2 and it just came on, so weirdly enough. But so I heard it again the other day, and as soon as it came on, I was like, instantly knew every vocal, every line. It's just, you just know it. It's just
put
ingrained.
The needle on the record. Yeah. Put the needle on the record. Yeah.
When the drum beat goes like this. It's just ace. What a great track.
It is, yeah. It's a classic acid house track from the UK, British house stamping its feet. It's weird. This was originally a collaboration between two different electronic artists, Colourbox and A.R. Kane, who were both signed to 4AD, the record label. During the production of this, they did not get along because they had very different ideas about how things should be. The net result was that Colourbox took one side and the alternative band took the other. And then, of course, the track that took off in all the clubs and everything else was Pump Up the Volume. What's interesting about this, and I'm not going to go into too much depth about it, but Stock Aitken and Waltman sued these people because of a copyright infringement of a 7-second sample in this track, which amounted to a hey, which they said was taken from their single Roadblock. Roadblock was a single based upon the samples of 5-6 other records.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
For a moment, just consider that this is a production company suing a house track author for the use of samples who had knowingly ripped off in the same month Rick Astley and Captain Abrahams for Trapped. Knowingly done that and were still trying to assassinate other bands for doing innovative house tracks. It's unbelievable if you think about it.
Well, it was a weird time in the mid because sampling was becoming a thing, wasn't it? And there was a lot of legal discussion. I do remember it on TV and on the news and stuff. And there's a lot of sort of talk about people sampling and are they just stealing records and stealing stuff, and do they need to be crediting them and paying them royalties? And there was a lot of that going on because of the nature of, especially with all the scratching of house, records and stuff and dance tracks, and then it was getting released and all that. It was a weird time, wasn't it? Because it was new. It was new, and as ever, the establishment doesn't really know what to do when something new comes along and upends the apple cart. And pioneers in music start to do something different. People go, what do we do with this?
The truth was, at this time, was that Rick Astley's dominance at the number one position in the chart was challenged by Pump Up the Volume and Mars because it swept in and went to number one in the end.
It will do, yeah.
That is why Stock Aitken and Waltman tried to sue them. There's a lot of Google and Wikipedia and all that stuff out there. If you're into that, go and Google it.
Number 70, The Motion of Love from Gene Loves Jezebel. This was weird because the thing that I had in my head that Gene Loves Jezebel was not the thing that I saw when I watched this video or heard.
No, same. They were a weird shit version of U2 covering a crap Marillion song dressed as Poison and the Cult.
At any point did anyone think that was a good idea? Especially when, as you've quietly rightly noted, the singer is out of tune.
He is badly out of tune. We'll post a link to that, but it's badly out of tune. It's
badly. I mean, I thought, I always thought Gene Loves Jezebel were part of the goth fraternity, and so one of those bands I missed out on, and I'm glad I did now. Very bad. And finally, number 86, It's Not Over Till It's Over by Starship.
Lots of slappy bass in there.
You got to slap the bass. Loads in that one, isn't there? Loads. It is straight from an 80s teen comedy, though. Weird. I didn't know this one at all. Now, let's move quickly on into albums because we've got to get through them. 2nd of August, number 10, Hearsay, All Mixed Up by Alexander O'Neill.
Yeah, American R&B is not my thing, so...
No, not mine either. I didn't mention it because it's at number 10. Number 19, Kick It, the Def Jam Sampler, Volume 1. By various artists.
Big sampler for the Def Jam label that had Beastie Boys, Jazzy J, LL Cool J and stuff on it. So rap's becoming more popular. It's starting to emerge in the mainstream for the first time.
Number 28, Duo Tones by Kenny G.
Music to have your teeth drilled by.
Yeah, or more music to sort of see where you can't play a saxophone under, as we worked out last time. Bouncing Off the Satellites at number 74 by the B-52s.
Yeah, there's a sad tale to that. This was released after the sad death of the founding band member and guitarist Tony Mansfield. They took a long time out after Tony's death. So it was 3 years after this album that Cosmic Thing was released. But he died of AIDS, or HIV/AIDS. He kept his illness a secret from the band, apart from one single member throughout the entire recording of that album. And they didn't do any redubs or any master dubs or anything of his tracks. So what you hear in the album is what he recorded and his last final recordings, and then he died. So I think it's a bit of a fitting testament to a very clever and a fun-loving guy with a knack for amazing riffs, and that is the guy that gave us the ding 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 diddle diddle ding diddle ding.
Yeah, that's sad.
So it's very sad.
There was nothing released on the 9th of August, bar 3 compilations that were of no interest to anyone. 16th of August, number 8, straight in at number 8 is Dream Evil by Dio.
Yeah. And the more you look into them, the more you realise they are the inspiration for Spinal Tap, without a doubt.
Yeah, so many bands are, but yeah, Dio in particular, they are a good one. Number 24 was the La Bamba original soundtrack, a film about a dance, about a song about a dance. And as I posted the Inception picture, it's like...
Someone implanted that idea.
Yeah,
deep.
We have to go deeper. What is it? Number 83, Hold Me Now, Johnny Logan. We've spoken about him. Straight at number 1, we've spoken about this already. On the 23rd of August. Number 1, Hysteria by Def Leppard.
Incredible achievement after losing a limb.
Yep, indeed. At number 3 was Substance 1987 by New Order.
Massive compilation album. If you like New Order, actually, that's a very good compilation album to get. That's all their B-sides and 12-inch versions of all their tracks, including some that they never released it under 12-inch versions. So it's a good compilation to get if you can get it.
Yeah. Number 4, Presley, the all-time greatest hits by Elvis Presley.
Yeah, there was never a time when he wasn't in the chart from 1977 onwards. So
no, probably not. Number 11, Changing Faces, the very best of 10cc and Godley and Cream by 10cc and Godley and Cream.
And as we've said, Godley and Cream sounds like a dessert.
They do. What would it taste like?
I think it would taste like leather mixed with a hint of alimony. A little bit of legal demure.
Oh, I can taste. I can taste the lawyer's argument.
I can taste the legality.
Number 29 is Sherrick by Sherrick. You've got to be kind of self-confident and think you're well known somewhere to release your debut album as your own name.
It's a big audience over there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but you just rename the album.
You should.
Change that to Sheriff, or something else. 30th of August. Number 18 was the Beatles' White Album, 1987 version. I've been seeing loads of these popping up. I just ignored most of them, but I thought I'd include this one here because they were all coming out on CD, weren't they?
Yeah, that's it. It's exactly why it was on CD. So they released the entire Beatles back catalogue on CD in 1987. So
number 20, Frank's Wild Years by Tom Waits. If when he goes for a meeting, If it's and it's a woman who's late, he's fine. But if it's a man, he leaves because Tom waits for no man. Number 34, Rock and Roll by Motorhead.
8th studio album, wasn't very well received. They were selling, actually, and generally not liked by fans. So
No. I thought you'd like this one. Number 37, Permanent Vacation by Aerosmith.
It's my favourite Aerosmith album of all time.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Everything about that album is brilliant. And you can elide the sort of hair metal roots of it all and all that. You can do that. But it's got Dude Looks Like a Lady. It's got What This Way. There's so many great tracks and really good power ballads on that. It's the best album they ever released.
At number 72, finally, just wrapping up the music section, is Door to Door by The Cars.
I like all of those things, but there is a combination. There is a thing that should have happened.
Okay. Which was?
I like to think that there could have been a collaboration between the Doors and the Cars. They could have called it the Car Doors, and they should have called it the Car Doors. I don't know how that would have worked, but that it's waiting to happen. Why do these things not occur to the people in those bands? The Car Doors, and I don't doubt, and you no doubt your brain's already spinning, and there are people listening to this podcast, are there other combinations of bands that could have released tracks like this?
Yeah. Well, seeing as Jim Morrison was long dead, that would have been tricky, but I'd have liked to have seen the Cars perform live in Boots the Chemist.
Car Boots, yes. There's Car Boots. There's the Car Doors. Not just those, though, but are there two bands that could have worked together?
Yeah, I'm sure there's loads. I'm sure we'll think of some, probably, maybe some after this break, because at the moment, my mind's will start wearing and we'll be here for ages. So
Yeah,
let's not go down that route. So that's it. That's your music. I'm not summing that lot up. I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to go away now, have a drink, have a rest.
Cleanse, wipe.
Absolutely. We're just going to walk away. And then we'll be back after this short message where we've got 5 more games to go through and then we'll be done. So we'll see you soon. Please stay around.
Sun, Sea and Chippy Tea to our sponsor, DavidHearnWriter.com. Let's take another listen to his amazing new book, Escape from the Commodore 64.
Looky here. A crimson-cheeked man in torn overalls stepped forward. The Gulch ain't no place for young ladies. Amidst the commotion, another man emerged from the saloon, causing others to scurry. He made his way down the steps, knees bent in a way that suggested pain was part of his daily life. "You the sheriff of this stinking town?" he bellowed. Sarah looked at Nell. Nell looked at Sarah, and, together, they turned their attention back to the bearded character, complete with 10-gallon hat, dangling cigar, and spurs jittering against the ground. Without thinking, Sarah placed her hand across her holster. "What's it to you, punk?" she asked, surprising even herself. The bearded man pulled up, shocked at the response. How dare a woman speak to him in that manner? "You lawmen are all cowards." "Ladies," Nell corrected him, "and we don't like your looks. Get out of town."
As the mayor of Targ, I declare this book awesome. Escape from the Commodore 64 audiobook is out right now. Visit DavidHearnWriter.com today. What are you waiting for?
And we're back. We are back, and we're going to get into 5 more games of various things. So let's get into the first one without further ado. And the first one is a budget title, £1.99. It got 71%. This is Video Meanies. Video Meanies. So this is from the creator of Big Mac, the maintenance man. And I should have noted who that was. Terrible podcasting. Let me just check. Graham, look up who.
I didn't do that either.
What, you didn't know who did it? No, I didn't. Hang on a minute. Let me just check.
Same guy.
I should have done. I know who did it. I know his name. It is, well, it's Mr. Chip Software. It's Tony Kelly. It's released by Mr. Chip Software. It's Tony
That's
Kelly.
The guy.
So Tony Kelly, he did Big Mac, the Mad Maintenance Man, and some other titles as well in the past. So what is this? This is a hybrid sort of flick screen shooter cum puzzler where you play a droid who must travel around the various screens, and your job is to turn on 15 TV video screens ready for the next day's shoppers as yours, and the castles, which is where you are, owner is an eccentric millionaire who owns a video store which he has transported to said castle. Does that make any sense to you? I don't I don't know. Does it?
Very
does it make
little.
any,
Very little.
It's
No,
like well,
no.
it's like, so the castle is a series of odd rooms. So this is a 2D game where where weird enemies. Well, I suppose Meanies, the video Meanies of the title, trundle around. Some of them, some they don't, some they do. Contact will kill you and reset the room. Some rooms need blocks shot out and obstacles destroyed, etc., etc. So that can be quite frustrating if you're halfway through trying to complete the room, you get killed, you have to do it all again, destroying. Some of these releases more Meanies, and that can be frustrating too, because sometimes the only way to destroy something is to be right next to it, as you are like on the third screen, and as soon as you shoot, a flurry of enemies spawn and they instantly kill you. It's very annoying. So basically what this is you play this weird little droid thing, and you can move up, down, left, right, diagonally, and you can shoot, and there's things just flying about. They're not really distinct. The graphics are not particularly very nice. They're poorly defined sprites and character graphics, and it doesn't look particularly great, I have to say. I wasn't a big fan of the visuals in this. I liked, so what's he doing? Fine graphics. The room visuals are a mixture of bas relief on some of the screens and more sort of organic in other screens, but neither looked particularly good. I quite liked Big Mac because that had naff visuals as well, but underneath it was a well-designed game. But here that design seems to have been replaced with randomness, and so it seems all the worse for it. Big Mac was a puzzle game where you knew exactly what to do and you could plan for it. Here, all too often, things just spawn out of things and move randomly and just going around, and it ruins the whole flow of this. So it doesn't feel as tight as Big Mac, the Maintenance Man. So the levels just don't seem, or the levels or the rooms, I say, they don't seem particularly well designed. And if you turn off one of the TVs, the room resets again, and that's really annoying. The first one you get to, you go through 3 screens and you have to shoot your way through this wall bit, and it's like these blocks on this wall. Shooting the wrong ones releases enemies, which is annoying. You get past them, and also as well the enemies keep respawning, which is even more frustrating. But you get through this bit of wall, you go to the TV, you do the bit what you need to on the TV, and you come back out, and then the wall has respawned back, and there's nothing to it. You just have to shoot your way back through it, and it's boring and dull and infuriating. There's also a mini game you can play in the TVs as well to get an extra life, but I wouldn't advise it. It's very hit and miss. You just have to press spacebar or F1. It's basically what you've got. This sort of line goes down and then to the top, so it goes down character line by line. So one line will be death, another line will be an extra life. Death, extra life, death, extra life. There's about 12 of them, and then it just loops back to the top, and you've got to stop it and hopefully land on extra life, or don't not land on death. So that's what it is, and it's quite annoying, and it didn't really seem much down to skill. It just seems more down to luck. I have to say, even for £2, I didn't like this. I found it annoying and frustrating, and the mix of insta-deaths and poor respect for the player's time, having to redo things all the time, it just made me turn it off sharpish. Not all the budget is gold, that's for sure, and this certainly wasn't. This felt like if you bought this for £2, you might crack your head against it, and you might get some enjoyment out of Sunday, but I can't see it because I think the randomness and the frustrating nature of the entire endeavor would put you off. There's keys to pick up and things to do, but it just feels unwieldy and annoying more often than not, and I didn't enjoy this. What about you? Did you like your time with the video Meanies?
No. This is a naff looking, and you could tell it was made by the same guy that made Big Mac the Maintenance Man. It was kind of, there's a good puzzle game in it at its heart, but it just lacks the dexterity and the creational ability to make it work. So these flip screen puzzle arcade adventures might work for some people. It didn't work for me. The sprites in the game, graphics are under par. They're not amazing, but they're under par. The sounds are twee and annoying, but they kind of function as long as, while you're in control. It's unforgiving in the ways of these things, in the sense that it's unforgiving in the way that these things always are, but you can at least travel about and work your way around if you want to. If you like this kind of thing, so probably mapping and other things as well, for £2, this is probably quite up your street and up your, up your value alley. Then this has been a lot worse for a lot more, all said and done, has to be said. But I think the main thing for me with this is that the effort that's rewarded isn't equivalent to the game that you want to play. So by that, I mean that some of these games that we're encountering now, they forget about the encouragement of the player. They forget about getting you to the goal and making you get there in little steps that get you there. And that's better if you're doing that little steps, and often is better than hammering you for things that you didn't do with crazy difficulty spikes, which Video Meanies kind of feels like it does. So there's a lot of punitive gameplay here for very little reward. and the reward is not enough to make you want to do this, which means that it's a bit naff looking and a bit dull and a bit kind of crap. And that's a sad thing, because I think at its heart, that was not the aim, that was not the goal, that was not the thing. I think right at its heart, this was a good attempt to try and create a good puzzle platform solver, flip screen thing, but it failed. It got 71% in Zapped. They're being very generous at this point of things. It's really weird. I wouldn't have given it that. I think they got 71% because if you like a scrolling mapping challenge, this would have appealed to you. It would. And for £2, it definitely would have appealed because it's quite good value at that. But it's no more than that. So don't look for long-term happiness there, because you're not going to get it.
No, you are not. Not here. There's nothing. I didn't find anything enjoyable in Video Meanies.
No.
£2, even £2. You still got to draw the line somewhere and just go.
Absolutely.
It's not a great game.
No.
So there you go. That's Video Meanies. Let's move on to our next one. So let's get our bike shorts on. Let's get our helmet on, and let's get pedaling. And Graham, another budget. Milk Race.
Yeah.
Milk Race.
Milk Race. So this is coded by Icon Design, and if you don't know who they are, they're the geniuses behind Enduro Racer. So no, my hopes aren't high at this point. And the musician's David Whittaker. Okay, so that means we're going to get a 13.8 second loop.
If we're lucky.
So wow, this is the official Milk Race game. Did you want a Milk Race game? Did you know what the Milk Race game was? This is the official game. What is the Milk Race? It was at that time a bicycle race in the UK that ran from Newcastle to London over 13 stages. It's actually now called Tour of Britain, and it features 85 cyclists who get together and attempt this fairly prestigious and clearly arduous event to get from point A to point B in the various different stages. So this is the one only licensed game of that event, set over 13 stages, obviously, with over 85 riders, of course, over that mission. And since you've chosen to accept the mission, since this is your mission, if you choose to accept it, you've got to take part in the race and try and win, I guess, or presumably at least score in the top something or other. So the game starts with the world's most boring menu screen. Did you check out the screen I sent you?
I did look at that. Well, I'd already seen it, but yes, it is. Well, it got my my juices flowing, ready for a good old milk race.
Exactly. So when you go from that exciting screen to the next map screen, you get the view of the contest, and then you can see stage one. It might have been nicer if the map was more readable, I think, on this particular screen. It felt to me like it looked like it had been printed on a napkin and then folded 9,000 times and then pushed into the jeans pocket of a tramp. But there we go. That's what you get. Don't
let it hold you back.
No,
you can still find your way around. Maybe.
So the presentation then turns to the game. The presentation is of the map, or the race, sorry, is played out on a left to right scrolling road view-ish. At the top, you have your display, your information display, with the current speed, time, remaining energy, stage score, position, and your position in the race, and the current gear that you're in. In the middle is the road, where you cycle for your life from left to right. And at the bottom is the crowd of what look like 6 gang members and a dwarf. That's the way I looked at that. I will post a link to that so you can see it. You begin with your blocky cyclist player sprite up and pedaling, or ready to pedal at least. Note, just for the record, your wheels are blocky in this, so your cyclist player sprite is up and ready to pedal, but I think the wheels are so blocky that it might have been very difficult and problematic because they're not round, they are heavy in block. Anyway, so I'm just putting that out there. Maybe this was the time for the designers to think, maybe we should put higher resolution graphics in this game. High res would have meant a more robust tyre aroundness. Anyway.
Maybe.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so I think it's customary to start a race at the beginning. So you start a race at a start line. Not in this game, though. You just start in the middle of a road.
You just start
in the middle of the road. Racers rallying past you, cars zooming past you. Just start. It's a bit weird that you would just march into the middle of a dangerous and probably quite, I think time limiting thoroughfare to just start your race off there, but that's what happens. So it seems more dangerous and less fair to do what it does. So you start in the middle, left middle of the screen. and you push right on the joystick to control your speed. This is where it all gets a bit complicated. So your speed up, slow down is left, right, but your up, down angles alter your position and your speed. You change gear, and you've got 12 gears by pushing the fire button and moving the joystick to the top right. And, well, that's what happens, and you get that's how gears are meant to work in the game. It's all moot, really. Why? Because you're going to get mowed down by cyclists or the race cars. No matter what you do, you are going to be dead in this game. You're going to die. You are going to die. And you don't die, so you don't die death. Not straight away. No, it's a more prolonged pain of falling off your bike a lot. So if you don't get hit by a hazard, such as a pothole or the ground at the edges, which are unforgiving, you are going to get knocked off your bike by either other cyclists or cars running from behind you. Your cost at this point is your time and your energy. You replenish your energy en route by running over milk cans that have oddly been scattered just across the road and around. I didn't know they did that.
But it's not milk cartons back then, it's milk bottles.
But let's just remember, I just want to point out at this point, this is a officially licensed game.
Yeah.
So
this is big on milk. This is big on milk.
So what that means is that milk was just scattered in its bottles across the road, and you just had to hamper by and pick them up, and that replenished your energy, which meant you could pedal faster. We'll come to the complexity of that in a moment. So you can replenish your energy en route by running over the milk bottles, which have been scattered around. And I felt that might have been a bit odd, but that's the way it works. This is the official license, so that's exactly how they did it in the real race. They just threw milk bottles around and you have to cycle past them and pick them up. Some of the stages are against the timer in this. Some of them aren't. No real indication of which ones are or which ones aren't. You just have to guess that. So if you don't complete in certain times and certain stages, you're done. That's the end of the game. Likewise, if you run out of energy because you've exerted yourself too much, you're done as well. You're out of the game. Now, that leads me to the gearing in this game. So as you ascend through the gears, you go faster, which makes sense. But you lose your energy quicker. Okay, so let's just for a minute remember that gears on a bike are a mechanism to control the cadence or speed of pedaling. And that's generally meant to be controlled over differing levels of terrain. So the higher gears are generally for descending and to give you higher speeds because of the way the gear ratio works. So they require less effort to go faster because that's what they're for. That's the whole point of higher gears. Low gears are for climbing hills, starting off from a standpoint. So they would require more energy as you're pedaling more. Okay, we can all agree on that. So in a game where if you go up the higher gears, which requires you to pedal less, but that takes up more energy, we can all see that there's something inherently wrong with the logic of that. So the gearing on this game is what is a wild link to your milk obsession, because as your energy depletes, you need more milk. So that's my only conclusion. That this was a weird methodology to make people think that you need more milk in your life, and that's weird. So this is a blocky, crappy game. It's crap to look at. It's crap to play. It's impossible to enjoy because you're going to die a lot. It's fundamentally wrong in its logic, and actually encourages people to hate milk, which is kind of the opposite of what it's meant to do, I think. The Dave Whittaker music is the usual 13-second forgettable loop, which will make you want to crash anyway after a while, if you last that long. But for $1.99, just go and buy yourself a pint of milk and drink it. Enjoy that, because for what it is. And you'll get more out of that than you would from playing this absolute arsehole of a game. Because it's crap. It's utterly, utterly, utterly crap. It's so bad. It's just stupid. It's crap. It's crap. This game's crap. It's crap. Even for £2, it's crap. No. Just buy milk. Buy milk. Don't buy this game. It's crap. It's crap.
Yeah.
And did you like it?
No, I didn't know it. You cycle from Newcastle to London, a series of stages while glugging milk and being smacked off your bike by the wayward and annoying marshal in his car. Yeah, it's a rather simplistic and ultimately annoying license for the milk race. Cycle through seemingly the same stage, time after time.
Time after time.
Well, yeah, but the thing about England...
And you really need milk. Time after
play
time.
The milk race. The thing about England is that it doesn't all look the same.
No.
But you wouldn't know that. From Newcastle to London, they look very similar. Yes, you're trying to speed up, change gear, collect milk, avoid riders, potholes in the car, all at the same time. It's crazy. The collision detection, especially when the collision detection is terrible, the sense of distance or pace is non-existent. Is you can just slam it into top gear and go for it. All that gear stuff and energy didn't make a difference. I just slammed it up, collected enough milk, and I got through each stage anyway.
You were always a good milk collector.
I really was, yeah. Well, yeah, it's it's what I did in the former life. I was young and needed the money. The graphics are blocky and not particularly inspiring. I did like the way the crowd watched you go past, though, at the bottom. If you noted that. The sound is annoying. It's another 20-second or so loop from Mr. Whitaker. I'd rather just do the cycling on Summer Games 2 100 times than have another go on this.
Yeah.
I have played Milk Race before. Always too much milk. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme's review.
Jean-Claude Van Damming review.
It really is. There's nothing good. It's just ridiculous, this game. From the uninspiring title screen, which is just 3 lines of text, to the in-game crapness. And like you said, it's from the people who did Enduro Racer. So
exactly.
Why would you give it to them?
No, because if you combine the powdery
do you reckon they got paid in
crapness
milk?
Well, I'm thinking that if you paid them with the powdery crapness of this game and you mix that with the other ingredients and the egg, you're going to get some kind of dough. This is a crappy game. It's crap.
It really is bad.
But at least, and the only thing you can say is it's £2. Because if you'd paid for this, you'd be justifying it to people who go, well, it's all right. It's Milk Race. It's a Milk Race. I'm just playing the Milk Race game. It's like, there's nothing you're saying right now that's going to redeem you from anything.
I don't like you. Go away.
If you're trying to join a mega house, this is a paddling that you're going to never forget. So,
yeah. Please, sir, can I have another pint of milk?
Exactly.
No, you cannot.
Unleash the paddles.
Yeah, Milk Race. Garbage. Let's move on. Let's move on in time to a different place.
Yes.
And we'll play Falcon. This is a full price $9.95 game. And it got 49%. So, did you know, Graham, that the definition of an Egyptian is a friendly dancing maniac?
I didn't, but it makes sense.
Well, there you go. That's what it says in Falcon, the Renegade Lord. So this is a conversion of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. And I'd never read these. I don't think I even really saw them. These were written by Jamie Thompson and Mark Smith, who also did the Way of the Tiger books.
Okay.
These were released before the Way of the Tiger ones. So this is there were 6 books in the series, and this is based on the first one, The Renegade Lord. The plot of the book is that you are Falcon, special agent of the Temporal Investigative and Monitoring Executive. That's time to you and me.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, acronym central. Or Initialism Central, sorry. No, that's an acronym, is an acronym. Your job is to keep the timeline safe. Now, tell me if this plot sounds familiar. Your job is to keep the timeline safe, and your present quest is to stop the Renegade Lord who is changing the past and threatening to throw the course of time into absolute chaos. More Jean-Claude Van Damme. Sounds remarkably like Time Cop. Anyway, that's the book. So what's the game? So this was programmed by Steve Lee of Falcon Patrol 1 and 2 fame, and maybe that's why they got him to do it, because he seems to have an affinity for the word Falcon. And Patrol. So because he did another game, he did something else called Patrol. Maybe. Anyway, the game starts with you start in some kind of egg. That's all I can say. It's an egg with legs. But it's your time travel vehicle. And a quick press of the fire button dissolves the egg and brings up the remarkably unresponsive menu system. And now, I don't know, did you find this menu system really unresponsive?
Yeah, slow and annoying.
It's slow and, it took ages to actually recognize any of my inputs. But in this menu system, it's like quite in depth. You can investigate the 7 time zones that you can visit. So there are 7 time zones. Those are Jurassic. Tell me what's wrong with this list. Jurassic, remember these are time zones. Jurassic, Egypt, Hell, after Apocalypse London, Discra, Ascension, and Ringworld. Which one of those is a time period? Jurassic.
Yeah, 1.
Which are the other 6? None of them are time zone.
Hell isn't a time zone, is it?
London isn't a time zone. Egypt isn't. Discra, Ascension, and Ringworld. The places. Only one of them. Oh, anyway, and Egypt is filled with friendly dancing maniacs, remember? So you can also get information about the weapons at your disposal, and the computer, which is a cybernetic artificial intelligence nexus, or Kane, that controls this stuff for you. I'm guessing all this is from the book. Anyway, once you pick a time to go through, you wait for the machine to home in, which, depending on how far away it is in time from your launch point of 3033, can take quite a while. General hint, don't pick Jurassic as your first one, because you'll be sat there for a while. while this numbers just churn through. So once there, you can exit the egg and you are presented with the game. So the objective in each of the time zones is simply to find objects that don't belong and return them to where they do belong, which I believe was the exact same mechanic and plot to Double Take from Ocean. Was it Double Take?
Yes.
The same one, isn't it? So here the game sees you controlling Falcon, who is a chubby sprite that flies around a series of flick screens, shooting stuff, picking up power-ups, and trying to find the objects you're after. There's no sense of inertia on the main sprite, so the controls feel really jerky and unenjoyable, and the whole thing feels unresponsive. The graphics for the enemies are similarly chunky and quite ill-defined, and the backdrops range from okay in some parts to ill-defined and ugly in other worlds. Each world is seemingly little more than a 3x3 grid of screens, and whenever you get a few things on screen, it slows down quite badly as well. The sound is a mix of an annoying title tune and a descending series of notes as you shoot, which is just bizarre. So as you hold down the fire button, it goes do 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 do. It's like, what is this doing? Why is it doing that? I don't know how this ties into the books, besides it being about time travel, and it's called Falcon. But I found this a deeply unenjoyable experience to play. There's no on-screen UI. So you're out in the world firing at stuff, so you don't have any idea whether you've collected anything, what your health is, what you're supposed to collect, or any other kind of information that the game might want you to know. There's nothing. There's nothing. It feels unfinished, unpolished, and unoptimized, and it seems like a really strange design choice for what are a series of books built on an investigation about finding out who the renegade lord is. According to what I read around, sort of thing, you have to sort of investigate, higher ups in the time corporation or whatever it is, because it goes all the way to the top, and you're trying to find out who the bad guy is and what it's all about and stuff like that. This just is nothing like that. Why is this a flick screen hovering shoot 'em up? It just seems very ill advised, and it doesn't really seem to do the book any justice. I had a look at the Spectrum version as well, which is very different. Again, we've got two games which are very completely different. The egg is still there, but you're kind of wandering around shooting stuff and kind of on the floor going into different rooms. None of this sort of flying about. And there's also 8 zones you go into on the Spectrum with different places, different time zones. I don't understand what this release is. It got 49%, and I think that's being generous, because I found it just, I think it's not finished. It just feels buggy and unoptimized and weird. It just doesn't feel right. It's like all the text and stuff comes from the books, but the actual gameplay is just nothing. I don't know. It's a weird mix of styles that just doesn't come together. I don't know why they did it like this. It feels odd. And I didn't enjoy it. No, Falcon. I never played it back then. I saw a lot of the adverts for it I think I was aware that this was a choose your own adventure book, but I never read it. But I never played the game, and I didn't enjoy it. Now, what about you? Did you enjoy your time when traveling through time?
No, there's some nice ideas, and it's a good attempt at the kind of thing they're trying. I found the graphics appealing, but
really,
appealing. But the whole thing had a sense of coherent style to this. It was blocky, it was colourful, and they were kind of well designed. But we spoke in the last episode about the dangers of a brown UI, and I think that's where this starts to fall down. Yeah, exactly. And here we are again, massively brown UI. And that UI, which is a mainstay of the game, felt sluggish to navigate.
Yeah,
and difficult, and a UI will kill a game. A bad UI can kill anything, and it will kill a game very quickly. So you've got to try and get where you want to be in the actual game itself. You move around the time zones when you move around the time zones, you scroll around, you fly shooting things and picking things up and moving things around. The graphics in there are medium res, but they move around quite nicely. Those things aren't so bad, and you can flick in and out the screens and the spaces. That particular part isn't bad. The controls are a little obtuse. But I think perseverance with them will pay off in the end. And at its heart, this is an okay kind of game, but it's derivative and it's competently assembled, but it's bitty. And I couldn't get past that horribly brown UI. There was a lot of that UI was brown, and it's up. It was so the response time wasn't there, and that's a problem, because in a game of this type, you need to be able to go click, click, click. Viewing something, move around. You need to move around the landscape of the game fast. If you hinder that or hamper that in some way by slowing down that, you are just annoying the players, and you do that at your peril. So I thought initially there's probably something in all of this, but am I going to spend the 17 hours required to click through those navigatory menus? No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. Make that faster, or I'm tuning out, and I tuned out. So no, I think 49%, 50% is probably about right. I might have given it less actually, but That's what I
I
thought.
would definitely get left. It reminded me of a worse version of that one we played ages ago, which was Strange Loop.
Yes, similar. Yeah, actually, yeah.
It had a similar
same
feeling.
problems. Yeah, I didn't like that, and I didn't like this. So no.
Yeah, I think you were more. I think you were more forgiving on both of them. I think you kind of got into Strange Loop more than I did, and I think you've got into. But I really didn't take to this. I didn't like it at all.
I'm like with anything, you apply some degree of momentum to them, but at the same time, the controls cannot be obtuse. So
I think what I wanted, this would have been better if it had controlled like Jetpack.
Yeah.
With a bit of inertia, it just felt up and you move up and down. I didn't feel like I was because you're supposed to be flying on a jetpack, aren't you? So if it actually controlled like Jetpack with a bit of inertia and flying around and a bit of you could arc around a bit, that would have made this much more enjoyable, I think.
Yeah, but you're not having it, so you're not.
No, not. So there you go.
It's not happening.
Falcon, the Renegade Lord.
Falcoff.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Falcon, Falcoff. Thank you, Mr. Miyagi. Your time here is done. You must be wise in the ways of the Renegade Lord. Falcon, Falcoff. What are you talking about, you madman? I'm just walking away.
Just fix up a bike and get lost.
Absolutely. There's only one way to optimize this chain. You must Falcon, Falcoff. What's that even mean?
Don't be a Miyagi. Just be a Miyagi.
That's it. Oh, there we go. Falcoff. Oh, Falcow. Rock me, Amadeus. Let's move on to our next one. Graham, Shadow Skimmer. Sounds cool. Is it?
The Edge. Bum, 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 ba, dum, ba. The Edge. Bum, bum, ba, ba, da, ba. From Matt Sneap. Matt Sneap is the man who made Knucklebusters to you and me.
He is.
And with the audio by Neil Baldwin, that's a.k.a. Demon.
He is.
Make music, Demon.
I will.
The game concept is apparently by John Marshall, who designed Elidon. So, as the second flight officer of the A-class interstellar liner Monarch 3, your life is usually pretty cozy. In these days of intergalactic travel, the exterior of the spaceship, like yours, has become small, and a small automated city with robot-controlled craft monitoring any damage to the hull, which might have been caused by the odd meteorite or asteroid penetrating the ship's radar-controlled main defense system. But today, there's been a malfunction of the ship's main computer. You are sent out to manually control the routine surveillance. Trouble is, the ship now thinks your craft, you, are a hostile intruder. That's the instruction manual text.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, you play the second officer of the spaceship. You've got to use the Shadow Skimmer glider to make a routine inspection of the engines. Unfortunately, obviously, the main computer has malfunctioned and closed the entry point, so now you've got to reach the other hatch, but the defense systems see you as an intruder, so you are the intruder. Things are going to kill you, try and shoot at you. You've got to navigate through the top-down mazes you find the exit. Unfortunately, these are not always possible until the security systems are switched off. So it's necessary to find and destroy the hidden power devices. And sometimes it's necessary to flip the glider on its back, which you can do, that's your craft, to pass through certain obstacles, but this makes the glider vulnerable to enemy attacks. Along with those, you can bump along against obstacles, decrease the glider, and if you do that, it decreases the glider's energy shield. And when all three are gone, the game is lost. So you've got to glide around, you can shoot things, but predominantly try and navigate around and try and shoot the powered supplies on each level, a little bit like Power Droid in a way. Shoot the main things on each level to progress to the next level to do that. So the graphics in this game are kind of a graphic scrolling parallax kind of idea. The game is essentially a maze or a maze navigation notion, and in a similar way to the way Parallax was. There's a decent title screen in here. The look and feel of the game are nice. The top section of the screen is your UI, and that looks the part. It's similar to where the Sacred Amber of Anshred in the way it looks, in that kind of rusty metal kind of look. And the bottom 3/4 of the scrolling screen is your game window. The controls are on the joystick and the keyboard, and this is where it starts to get difficult. You move smoothly around with your directional controls, but bumping into the sides will bounce you around, similar to how Sacred Amber of Anshred did when you had the armor on.
Yes,
so there is some inertia and bouncing, which gets frustrating when trying to navigate small spaces. This game needed a simple intro section to guide you through the how to fly around the landscape, and just not necessarily do that. You dropped in the sort of deep end, as it were. So it's not immediately obvious which way you need to fly, which way your ship flies, or why upside down is a good option at any point. shooting's a pain in this game because you shoot in the direction that you point generally, but you can, and this does change depending on your direction, which means you can sometimes be shooting the wrong way for the way you're facing. And I think it takes a little bit of time to get used to the way that controls. But the enemies, when they spawn, are relentless in this game, and they'll quickly burn you through your shields and your life. So you've got to figure this out quickly. So sometimes it feels like you point right and shoot with the fire button, and that would be the logical thing. When you point right and you shoot, you're shooting right, but that doesn't always work. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a different combination of that. And the same with up and right and left. You can't shoot diagonals in this, and there's a little bit of hindrance to navigating and shooting things in this game, which, considering this game is all about navigating and shooting things, is a problem. There's good sounds and there's good music here. And with a little more thought, I think, into the game controls, this might have been something to one of the great somethings. As it stands, it feels a bit punishing to control, and it feels punishing to navigate. And then the enemies make you feel like you're bouncing around uncontrollably when you hit things in the space that you're in. And sometimes you're not firing in the right direction at a given moment when you need to be. And that becomes a problem in the game because you need to sort of make sure you are. And that thought process breaks you out of the logic of what you're trying to do. So it's well drawn, it's well produced, and the scrolling, honestly, is quite good. If they'd have adapted this scrolling to many of the top-down gauntlet-style games that we've seen recently, this is the scrolling that you need in those games. But it's missing the design and control department, and it left me feeling very frustrated at that. And that led me to think that maybe this is a good game in some instances that is trapped in bad controls. But what did you think?
I'm pretty much bang on. Yeah. Trapped on the outside of your interstellar liner, just as the ship's computers malfunction, is not a good situation to find yourself in, yet here we are. And we must navigate our way back to safety through the 4 zones, 4 on the outside of the ship. It's an interesting take on the 360-degree scroller that does look very nice, and it sounds very good, with nice background visuals and good music from Demon and sound effects by Mr. Whitaker. I thought the presentation of this was really nice. As you have rightly pointed out, though, the main issue here are the controls. Asking for precision and time to do something, but being knocked back and bounced around by endless enemies that spawn from the spawn points renders this game very annoying very quickly. For me, and pretty much like exactly what you said, it's another one where the technical aspects far outweigh the actual gameplay. And again, that's quite a shame. It could have been a really decent game here because flipping from one side of the craft to the other could have led to some interesting puzzles and mechanics, but there's little here beyond a dull maze and infuriating enemies. Bit of a shame, as I said. There's a nice surrounding, but we've said this before. It's a hollow. The donut of a game with no filling. There's nice bits around, but you want something in that middle to hold it all together. It's just not lacking. There's some, and we've seen this quite a few times. Things like Skyrunner and other ones as well, where these clearly technically proficient coders and are doing their thing. Like you said, the scrolling routine in this is smooth as hell and really nice. And they're really good. And I really liked the visual effects of like going underneath some of the the fact that you had height on the spaceship, so you could go under some, bouncing up others. All that's really good. It just needed design. It needed the map thing, and I don't know, just have you get to those points sort of thing, and enemies just spew forth, and you just can't do anything. So no, this is a shame, really. I was hoping that another one. It's another one that's just like, you've got some in here. Just take a bit more time, take a step back, and you've got a really good sound coding base. And it seems to me that these games kind of come at it. We spoke about this about Whizball and when we interviewed John here about, if you don't have that central mechanic nailed, doesn't matter how much shiny frippery you put around the edge, it's never gonna work properly. And, we see it again
and Matt Sneap is a very competent coder. I mean, Knucklebusters might have been crap in terms of its gameplay, but scrolling and gameplay and sprite-wise,
speed-wise and everything, there's nothing to do with that. It's just the design here is poor. It's a shame because it does look nice, but nothing to it. Oh well, Shadow Skimmer, shame. Let's move on. We've got one more
Shadow
left.
Skid Mark.
It's not that bad. Although a shadow skid mark would be like horrible to think about. It's like you get a shadow skid mark from a ghost shit. One of those craps where something came out, but there's nothing in the bowl and there's nothing on your ass. You're like, what happened?
It's just a shadow left.
It's like what
why?
You have. It's like one of the funniest things. Was it you who told? I don't think it was you who told me it. It might have been you. So someone described eating a banana. So it's like eating a ghost. Because was it you?
No.
Oh, it wasn't you. Someone said, they said, eating a banana is like eating a ghost because you peel it and you eat it and it's like you've not eaten anything. You just ate a ghost. I had a lager like that in a pub once, and I just drank it. And it was like, it's just like drinking a ghost.
Yeah, I've had that with Labatt's Ice when Labatt's Ice was the thing. I think I went through 20 bottles in one night in a club. I was like, I don't think I've drunk anything. And I found myself punching somebody and just throwing somebody into a dumpster.
Then you found yourself having a shadow skid mark.
Yeah, I found myself having a massive fight with about 5 people going, wow, this took a turn. Anyway, it's a whole different ball game.
It really is. But yeah, shadow skid mark, what you get from a ghost dump. Oh, Jesus Christ, this episode has gone weird. We've got one game left. Let's get on to it. And that game is full price. This got 86%. This is the return of Thing. This is Thing Bounces Back. All right, let's get... We weren't a massive fan of Thing on the Spring, were we?
No, we weren't.
Found it a bit annoying. So Thing is back in his second adventure as he once again faces off against the evil Toy Goblin. So it's, of course, from Gremlin Graphics. And like the other one we looked at, Auf Wiedersehen Monty, this has a hefty team behind it. Hefty. With code by Jason Perkins, Mark Charles Rogers, Chris Kerry, and Colin Dooley, and visuals by Steve Kerry and Marco Duro, and Ben Daglish replacing Rob Hubbard on the musical duties. So the code as an artist, we've seen before games like Avenger, Auf Wiedersehen Monty, Thing on the Spring, Monty on the Run. They've worked on loads. You know, it's basically Gremlin's other team, because I think it seems like Gremlin have 2 teams at the moment. They've got this lot, and then they've got Chris Shrigley and that lot doing Future Night and all those kind of things. And
you mean they've got the A team?
Well, they've got
and they've got the B team.
They've got a team and another team. I know it says A, but it's a small A. They've got a team and they've got another team. So they've got 2 teams, and that's what it seems like working on here. So weird. So this is Zapp's, second. This is their Margin mascot, the second Margin mascot, and he's back. And this game takes place over 11 scrolling levels that make up a toy factory that's been run by the Goblin that are chock full of madness and mayhem. So the point of this game is that Thing has to shut the factory down and stop the production of all the evil toys that are being created. You do this by entering every level and finding the tape, the floppy disk, the ROM, that's the read-only memory, and the listing paper. Finding all these components parts lead to completion of the game, I think. That's what I think you've got to do. So the levels themselves are chock full of stuff, from pipes which whiz Thing away to a different part of the level before spitting them out, to loads of enemies, platforms, slides, updraft things, and mystery platforms, and all manner of stuff. Enemies can be killed by jumping on them. And if they hit you, so Thing has 3 lives, and the energy for each of them is the oil that allows Thing to bounce and move. So it's essentially this is a game about Thing's lubricant, which is kind of weird. So scary. if you lose all your oil, you lose a life. Lose all 3 lives, and it's game over. Oil can be replenished by hitting the mystery squares, although they're just as likely to drop a weight on your head, which loses you oil. Oil is also lost by moving about, just moving itself, and by hitting enemies. So there are exit markers as well dotted about, which whiz you into a series of pipes, which lead to the various other levels where you have to collect the same 4 parts. So it just sounds like a lot. It's because it is. There's a lot going on here. And the problem is there's no room or time to breathe or seemingly have any real control on proceedings. The levels are laid out in such a way that one bounce may land you on a slide that will drop you in a tube that spews you out and takes you back again before landing back on the slide and into the tube again. And sometimes you just get back in this back and forth and can barely get out of it. So you can't really do what's everything. When you do manage to get free, the levels are so congested that there is no real room to maneuver. And you just find yourself rambling around trying to jump and ending up stuck in a corner or back in a pipe or moving between worlds with very little hope of actually controlling what you are doing. The visuals are okay. They're nice and bold and chunky, and they've got that Gremlin style, not the Auf Wiedersehen Monty, the more the medium res chunky Gremlin style that we sort of saw in the previous Thing game. And the music is okay on the title screen, but it's awful in the between level ducts. And the sound effects are just a massive noise because so much is going on. There's just noise firing off all over the place. It's like noise. I don't think this is a particularly good game because it feels too chaotic to really get to grips with. And the character of Thing, he just doesn't have enough draw as a character for me. He's in 2 games and neither of them are very good. And I think arguably he's just been used because he's in the margins of Zapped that people, it's Thing, innit? Oh,
yeah.
However, the interesting thing about this game, I did like it. So there you go. The interesting about this game is what it reminded me of. So they've clearly taken some influence from Super Mario Brothers with the jumping on enemies to kill them, because obviously that's what Mario does.
And the collecting coins.
And collecting coins and jumping into blocks from underneath for mystery stuff.
Yeah.
So there's elements here. We can see Super Mario Brothers feeding into stuff here. But more interestingly, this game is not even out yet, it reminded me of a Sonic game.
Yes.
Which is obviously a few years away at this point. The rolling through the ducts, the almost prescribed parts of some of the levels when you get onto slides. It feels like a proto-Sonic game crossed with elements of a Mario game.
Interestingly, I made a little comment about that, but completely as a separate thing. So that's interesting.
So I put it maybe be just me though. Maybe it's not. On the whole, I found this too chaotic for me. And what really hampers the ability, to play it. The amount of time I went back and forth in pipes just wore me down, as did the overall zaniness and wackiness of the whole thing. It feels like they went all out for the crazy. It's thing on a spring, or sting bounces back, we've got to go way. But it's just got in the way of the actual design of the levels. And so when it comes down to it, it just makes it a rather dull, hard to control platformer that I didn't take to, and I found where it wore on me quite quickly. And just because it was just too chaotic and too much going on. There seemed a lack of design to this. And it seemed like it was just random. It was just happening. It was just happening without me. And I don't like that in games. So what about you and your thing bounces back experience?
There's a nice looking game and it's well produced in here, and there's lots of movement and kineticism, which is good. It moves at a pace. It moves at a style, I suppose. I've always found this game to feel a little like I wasn't in control of anything, and it lacked a kind of solid purpose and direction. So it was somewhat haphazard. It felt like a haphazard cascade around the screen, bumping into things, a bit like a pinball. And I still felt that way when I replayed this. It's a fun-looking game, and there's no denying that. There's a lot to take in, and there's a lot of moving parts, none of which are really explained or given a coherency. So I never felt that I had the affinity with the original Thing on a Spring or to the sequel, really, because the sequel wasn't really high on my agenda. It wasn't kind of my thing. I like the sound of the music. Ben Daglish's music is good. It's a good follow-on from Rob Hubbard's music. The graphics are really well made, and they move around the screen really well. The production level of this game is high, but it got a mixed bag of reviews in the Zapped review. And I found myself in the annoying, bouncy, out of control camp of reviews, because the reviews are, this is great, it's a good exploration thing, and the other reviewers, but you are bouncing that control over the place, and your progression is a bit haphazard. So you could sit there and think about how you're going to work your way around, but you don't get time to do that in this game. What you're actually going to do is just bounce around and sort of almost flippantly fly around and try and figure out things and just bounce and move and slide around. So this game has, for me, similar issues to what Shadow Skimmer had, strange enough, is that there's lots of production, lots of graphics, lots of things in there, but at its heart, there's not a controllable game. There's great presentation, there's great production, but you got a spare of thought for how your player is going to navigate and move around this space you're in. If you make it crazy, difficult, or obtuse, then your player can't navigate that space. And I have a similar issue, and this is where it interestingly ties into what you said, with the Sonic games.
Yes. The
Sonic games feel at a certain point that you're not in control of anything, that Sonic is just flying around and just hitting things and collecting things and randomly hitting things. And when you're not in control of your character, then you're not in control of your game. And that is a problem for a game that is reliant on you controlling a character. Now, it might be that it's in Sonic, he goes so fast, no one controlling me at that speed. That's a problem. But let's just roll the clock back. Thing on a Spring, and this particular Thing Bounces Back, was inherently showing that problem to be. Those parts where you're zooming around the tubes and flying up and down and navigating around, that's Sonic. Those are Sonic logic problems. Those are, without a doubt. So I think there's definitely Sonic owes itself a little bit, and I'm sure Sega of Japan would see otherwise, but Sonic owes itself to the logic of some of this, and that makes this game important. It does make it important, as you have rightly pointed out, and has been missed. But this game for itself, well, you don't feel like you're in control of the Thing on a Spring, because when you're up and down, jumping about, and you hit the slides and you're flying about, you never end up where you want to be. And that's a problem. That's a problem because no game can survive on that mechanic for long. So flying around the screen is madcap fun in the short bursts and in the short term, but it becomes quickly irritating and inhibiting or punitive. And when it does that, well, you've got issues with the game. So that's my take on it.
It's like being at a children's fun play area, fun for first 5 minutes.
Yes.
But
and then someone breaks the toe, and then it's
absolutely. If someone gets a weight dropped on their head, it's all bad after that. Disappears into pipes.
Exactly. Pirate Sam falls off the 3rd story tower, smashes his skull on a beaker. That might be my experience of it, but it was always awkward. It was
always awkward. Yeah, those beakers with the sort of lip up the top sort of thing where you have to be stuck off. Yeah, they're just waiting for an eye to land on him.
Absolutely. Don't move him because his back is probably snapped.
Absolutely.
Those conversations that you have when those things happen.
Children's death areas. Yeah. There we go. That's it. Thing bounces back. That's our last game for this week. We only got 9. We've got more obviously next week because this is another. It's another. What is it, Graham? What is August?
It's another. It's a triple flash treat. Triple treat.
Exactly what it is.
We've got the music now. We'll put it in there. Triple treat.
It really is triple treat. So what have we looked at? We looked at The Last Ninja, so at least we had that quality stuff going on. We looked at the god-awful Wiz, the strangely bereft but got better when someone stuck some music in it, Force One, the crap trap, video Meanies, which is annoying, Milk Race, which was milky.
Utterly shite.
So milky. It's like a sour milk. It's a really bad milk. That milk's been sat on the window ledge for a good 10 days.
Painfully blocky turd.
It's been left there and they've poured it out and it's just that sludge.
Exactly.
It's gone lumpy.
It's got edges.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more cheese than milk. The weird Falcon, which has a brown UI, which Shadow Skimmer, which is the like a ghost shit, and then the uncontrollable thing bounces back.
Yes.
So there you go. I bet Shadow Skimmer's never been called a ghost ship before.
No.
Ever.
And that's such a great collection of games. I bet no one's ever thought, wow, those are amazing. Apart from the people who reviewed them in Zap originally going, wow, this is crap.
This is all rubbish. So there we go. So what have we got to say? You can, if you like what we do and you wish to support us, you can do it over at our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Zap to the Past. If there's 2 tiers now, I've actually added in another tier. There's a basic one. So for £1, or the equivalent of £1, it don't get you anything, but it just, if you wish to throw us £1 each month,
just goodwill.
You can sign up, and that's it. And it would help out. Every little bit helps. So, if you don't want all the hassle of doing Discord, which you don't have to anyway, but if the higher tier is still like a price of a pint of beer. So you've got either the price of a Snickers these days or the price of a pint of beer. So if either of those appeals, then head over to the Patreon and sign up, and that would really helps us keep things going and just shows that we're doing something right, I guess. And I think that's about it. Have we got anything else you want to say or add?
No, that's it. I'm all good.
Next week, what are we looking at next week? Should we say what we're looking at next week?
Some tasty morsels, yeah.
There is. So we're looking next week. We've got Defender of the Crown.
Ooh.
And then I think just like this week, then we've got something called Colony, Spellseeker, Plasmatron. Then we've got we said we'd look at it. We will. Frankenstein, which is the text adventure sequel to Dracula. Magmax. The conversion of Wonder Boy.
Egg.
Election.
Crap.
Weirdly, Election, I think, is like same people who did Shogun. I think it's weirdly plays the same. And then finally, Twin Tornado.
No.
We got a good review, so I'm sure we'll love it.
Yeah, we can try that. Yeah,
I'm sure we can. But that's it. So that's all to come next week in the middle of this triple treat. So on that note, this has been a long episode. We've talked about a lot. Those have been the games. That's what we've got coming up next week. Stick around. I have been Adrian Mills.
And you might have been Adrian Mills. I have been.
At one point, I have definitely
been Graham Ruddings.
And you could have been listening to Zap to the Past. I don't know at this point. I think I've been brained out by some of these games and whatever it is. But we'll see you again, hopefully, next week.
Just to note, Adie's hair is fully Spaniard at this point.
Massive Spanierin of the hair.
Full Spaniard.
I really have. I can barely fit in the I can barely fit in the video window
You can't. It's just it's exploding out now. It's like the Andromeda strain. It's going wild.
It's like what was the what was the toy you used to have where you used to turn the wheel and the plasticine used to come out the hair?
But Play-Doh.
No, the Mr. thing. So yeah, but no,
Mr. Do, Mr. Do.
Oh, I
Mr.
can't
Doe.
remember now. No, what Mr. Do? Or Doe? You're an idiot sometimes.
Mr. Doe. Sounds like it could be the right thing.
That's made me think that the arcade game is really weird now. Mr. Doe. He's just made of dough, running around, that little clown. I don't know, Percy Head. Anyway. On that note, we will leave you, I think. So we'll see you again next week. Well, yeah, we will do. Join us again next week. We've got loads more games to go through, along with film and TV. So We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zapped 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.